WHB. Jason Anderson with you. Sterling Holmes, Michael Darcy, Jack Johnson hanging out with us as we head up until 2 o'clock. The next 4 hours, we've got you. A lot of stuff to get into and talk about today and break down from basketball, baseball, and whatever else may come up over the next 4 hours or so. 913-912-4810 is the text line, and we'll talk with Joel Penfield today coming up at noon. We'll talk with Mick Schaefer coming up at 1 o'clock. I don't know. It's not in front of me. I may have placed it somewhere. Sorry, Sterling.
No, you're fine.
I took Sterling's format because I'm like, I don't know where mine is. How am I supposed to know who's on the show?
We just lost paper.
Yeah.
So, you know what? Felt like the local schools. You got the paper ripped out from underneath you.
Right, it's the carpet right out from underneath you. But Joel Penfield will join us at noon. One Royal Way podcast. We'll start our weekly conversations with him every Monday at noon. Get his thoughts on the Royals breaking camp. They have 2 games remaining, exhibition games today and tomorrow against the Rangers in Texas. Then 2 days off on Wednesday and Thursday before heading to Atlanta to face off against the Atlanta Braves with a 6:15 first pitch. We know Cole Reagan's on the mound. Michael Wacha heading to the mound tonight. His final tune-up before the regular season. Royals have not made the final roster decisions. They have really, I would say, one spot left to figure out for their team. We know the rotation is set. The bullpen is set. We know who they sent down to AAA, and they have till Wednesday because Wednesday night is opening day with the Yankees in action. So they have a couple of days before they have to get it finalized, which if you take what J.J. Piccolo said, they have 2 days to figure out if Michael Massey's calf is going to be good to go for the beginning of the season. So we'll talk about that with Joel Penfield, how he pronounces Michael Garcia's name, the 2 bench spots, what the final record is, concerns over Carlos Estevez's 90 mile an hour. He's finally got up to the 90 mile an hour on his fastball. Bergert, Avila down to AAA. We'll talk about all of that with Joel Penfield. Mick Schaefer will join us at 1 o'clock. He was in St. Louis and only had to work Thursday and Friday.
He's probably thrilled.
Got Saturday and Sunday off. It was his vacation anyway. But Missouri did him a solid and didn't make him work on Saturday and Sunday for press conferences and games. So we'll talk with Mick Schaefer coming up in the 1 o'clock hour. Learn funniest best in the 1 o'clock hour with Mick Schaefer. We will eliminate the rest of the first round teams in our bracket of sound today. So we have 16 more clips to eliminate from the first round. Tomorrow and Wednesday, we'll get into the teams that were eliminated in the second round, as we now have 16 teams remaining. We lost almost all of our collective mixes that we put together for individual people. We lost Sterling's mix, we lost Matt Derrick's mix, and we lost the Greg Gurley mix.
Wow.
All yesterday.
That's tough.
It was it's a rough day. It was a rough day for the 3 of you. But the Danny Clinkscale mix is still rolling.
Good.
It's still there. It's still got the Danny Clinkscale going. And Ryan, who got tased, is still alive by the skin of their teeth a couple of different times. And I'm not sure they'll be alive after the St. John's game because that is connected with Duke. 913-912-4810. Let's get into the conversation. We can get into like the overall Sweet 16 and what we take away from that as the show progresses. But let's start with the local teams. Let's start with the game that's most fresh in our minds from yesterday afternoon, a game in which I'd have to imagine was one of the more frustrating games to watch if you're a KU fan. It was very Missouri-esque, sorry KU fans, very Missouri-esque to struggle, fall behind by double digits, and then fight all the way back and then end up losing at the end. It's what Missouri has, I think, patented. I think, like...
TM. It's a TM.
Yeah,
it's trademark.
Like LeBron tried to...
Oh, wait, no, Ben Franklin already had it. Weird. Ben Franklin already had it trademarked.
That's a good point. LeBron tried to trademark Taco Tuesday, Ohio State trademarking the word "the," and I think Missouri and Dennis Gates can trademark falling behind by double digits, fighting to tie or take the lead, and ultimately losing. They're really good at that. But the way in which it happened, I don't know that I can remember a Bill Self team that at times, for most of the game, not even at times, for most of the game, simply struggled to get the ball in bounds. And it wasn't a surprise. Like, it's what Rick Pitino and St. John's, it's what they do. It's what Rick Pitino's always done. Like, Rick Pitino pressure defense has been something he's always done. He's typically had a team that can shoot. This team can't shoot. And so he had to adjust to get this team to play a certain way. They did knock down a number of threes. They took a crazy amount of threes for a team that doesn't shoot many threes, because I think the strategy for Kansas was, we're going to let them shoot threes because they don't do it and they're not very good at it.
Yeah.
So I don't hate the strategy from Bill Self, but to watch that game and to see a team that just looked out of sorts throughout most of it, and it was just a continuation from the last 5 minutes of the Cal Baptist game. Like, it just looked, for the first 35 minutes of postseason play, Kansas looked like they were in complete control.
Yep.
And then you go through another 35, I guess the next 40 minutes, and Kansas looked completely out of sorts. And then a 5-minute stretch when they came back from 14 down to ultimately tie the game, they looked like the first 35 minutes of Cal Baptist. But that's kind of a microcosm of this season, I think, for Kansas, in that you see some ultimate high-level ability where you go, okay, that right there, that's the, if you can tap into more of that,
sure,
get more of that on a consistent basis, that's how this team makes a second weekend, maybe plays in the Elite Eight, maybe knocking on the door for a trip to Indianapolis. That's what you can see. But then the flip side is, oh, if they look like that, they could get run out of the building by somebody in the first round or the second round, depending on who they go up against. And we saw both in the tournament, which is not a surprise, because typically teams in March, you kind of play to your personality of what you had in the regular season. Like, we talked about this going into the tournament, the concerns for Mizzou in that falling behind and then trying to come back and then ultimately losing, that you don't just simply turn it on when the tournament starts.
Sure.
You don't become a more accurate passer in the NFL than college, except for, say, Josh Allen.
Sure.
There's the exception that proves the rule. Like, the one guy you could, well, he did it, yes, and? So you don't play a certain way all year, and then it's go time, elimination time, and you just break at it and play phenomenal basketball for a 3 or 4 game stretch. It just doesn't happen. It's why the best teams that win the national title or go to the Final Four are the teams that have multiple ways to win. You want to slow it down, you can win. You get in a shootout, you can win. You get up and down the court, you can win. How many answers do you have to the test? And Missouri didn't have many answers. And this year, Kansas didn't have many answers. And the most surprising part is the fact that Kansas didn't have many answers to the test this year. And both teams ultimately played, Missouri in the 1 game and Kansas in the 2 games. Well, we've saw throughout most of the season, like neither of the 2 results was really a surprise to me at all. Frustrating for Kansas, frustrating for Missouri, but it was kind of a continuation of what this season has been.
Yeah, KU can't shoot. Bryson Tiller and Trey White, to me, that was brutal. They went 2 of 8 combined. Bryson Tiller didn't score. We talked about many times. When Bryson is aggressive, this KU team looks good. When Bryson is passive, they don't look good. He was passive. They didn't look good. I think the biggest issue was they couldn't. I mean, it wasn't like St. John's played great. It wasn't like St. John's was out here hitting all of these shots. They were 11 of 35 from 3. They had 11. They shot 35. That's 31%. They had a lot of open looks, a lot of bad shots, a lot of bad results on those open looks. They couldn't inbound the ball against St. John's. Darren Peterson started, had a couple turnovers, couple inconsistencies trying to get the ball in on what should have been fairly easy inbound passes. Then Trey White looked befuddled, confused. So they had to go to, was it Bryson eventually was the guy who inbounded it? I mean, they just could not inbound the ball.
They had Flory at one point coming down and taking the ball and then handing it, which worked.
Because they couldn't do it with Darren or Trey. I don't know what happened to Trey. Their best offense was when Melvin Council would break the press and just literally go straight downhill and try and score. That was their best offense against St. John's. Bill Self did a good job. Put Cole Rosario in the game, and it felt like the energy level went up, the defense went up. He trusted Mbaya in this one. I feel like that was impressive after not really trusting those 2 guys all year. In March, trusted him, and those 2 guys responded. And then final possession of the game, you're like, let's take the guy who's been maybe our best defender out and put maybe our worst defender, El Marco, on him. I know Darren Peterson could have helped out. I know
El Marco's been a fine defender. This year.
I know Flory could have jumped and tried to block it. Again, the game is not all on El Marco. My point was I thought it was a poor coaching decision on Bill. Who's the better defender, El Marco or Cole? I think it's pretty obviously Cole Rosario.
I mean, he hasn't played much. El Marco's been a good defender. Like, the one thing I think you can rely on for El Marco is that he's been a good defender and a good free throw shooter late in games.
Great free throw shooter.
That's the one thing sort of he's been able to go with. I don't hate that decision. We can get into the specifics of the fouling late in the game and what happened, because I think the fouling put El Marco in the position to play defense like he did. Not great.
Good call.
But you kind of took away the teeth of what you could play defensively with that sixth foul.
Sure.
If you just had 5 and said, all right, now let's play it, and you can get aggressive, go for the steal, go through the guy to try to steal the ball, things like that. But it comes down to the last possession, and we're talking about that because of how they played the first 35 minutes, falling behind by 14.
I also hated the decision, too. I mean, hindsight's 20/20. I would have loved to have seen Kansas go for the win prior to that. Darren Peterson, I'm sure it was a whatever look you have, then you can take it. If there's an open 3, you take the 3. But if you need to drive to the goal, get a foul, then we'll tie the game and play defense. To me, it's not so much about the final 8 seconds or so.
Or 3.9 or
3.9,
yeah,
3.9.
But what? Yeah, to that point, yes.
It's about the first 30 of it. I mean, you played horrifically. And to me, when I look back at this Kansas team, it's not going to be about the Darren Peterson saga of he was able to play, he was not able to play. There were all these question marks. It was the fact that the bench was so putrid for so long that what eventually happens to teams that can't play at least a couple guys off the bench, well, the starters get worn out. I think Melvin Council was completely out of gas by the first weekend of Kansas City, or the only weekend, the first game in Kansas City of the Big 12 tournament. And that's when you saw this shift. When he started to wear down, the rest of the offense kind of struggled to get things going. It wasn't Darren Peterson and trying to get into a rhythm. I'm sure it played a part, but Trey White ran out of gas. Melvin Council ran out of gas. At times, Flory Badunga ran out of gas. Maybe Bryson Tiller did as well. And that's why you go back to November, you go back to December, early on in January. You needed to play Cole Rosario more. I'm baffled that a kid who started for KU in the first 3 games, I believe it was, of the season. Some of that was due to Darren Peterson not playing, but then he's just banished to the bench, and then putting him in the game with 5 minutes to go, cold off the bench. Credit to him, knocking down a 3 and then having the offensive rebound and put back. But how it needed to get to that point to get minutes over Elmarco Jackson and Jamari McDowell and guys, Trey White, who was scoreless up until the final 5 minutes. There were so many things that happened that made you scratch your head, but I'm a big believer in sample size will tell you everything. And the NCAA tournament is the perfect time for delusion of all fans. Hey, it's going to change now. Hey, now they know it's do or die. It's going to be great. Let a team tell you who they are. Yep. We had 30 games worth of this Kansas team. They were never going to turn it around in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah.
They were going to run out of gas eventually.
Yeah, and that's where, when I watch the game and I'm like, I'm watching and I'm seeing Kansas play 4 segments really good basketball and 4 segments really poor basketball.
Yeah.
And that's what we've seen at times this year. And that's why I bring up the analogy and the comparison of the NFL, and that you don't simply become a more accurate passer when you get to the NFL. You don't simply become a different team when you get to the NCAA tournament. Your personality is heightened. And if that personality is Jekyll and Hyde, that's going to be heightened to the extreme degree. If your personality is you're going to be battle-tested and fight through whatever, you're Iowa State.
Sure.
And you don't have Joshua Jefferson. And still you win by 20 over Kentucky.
Fell behind by 15.
Fell behind by 15. You don't have Joshua Jefferson. But that team is a bleep you, we're not losing.
Yeah.
Whoever's out here, we're going to do what it takes to win the game. That's their personality, and that was heightened. Houston against A&M, their personality was heightened. And we see that in different teams. And, Purdue, just a well-coached, fundamental team.
Yeah.
And when it came to the last 2 minutes, you needed players to be well-coached, fundamental, do the little things, find ways to get baskets and stops, hit your free throws, and win the game. And that's what they do. That's what they did.
Iowa, same thing as Iowa. I mean, that was
really
an
well-coached
impressive
team. And they went for the win. Now, I think in Iowa's case, I love the fact that McCollum went for the win because you're playing the 1 seed.
Yeah.
You know,
they were winning in overtime. Yeah.
Do we take this thing to overtime and see what we got? Or we fought, scratched, clawed. We were up by 12. We lost the lead. We're trailing. Now we're fighting back. Now we're down. We've got one shot. Hit it in the corner.
It was the right shot, too. I'm sure if he doesn't dig, you can go for the layup, but the guy came down. I mean, it's easy. It's just
He's open.
Smart basketball.
Open, good shooter, knock it down. Wasn't kicked out of the game earlier.
Yeah, it's also
it didn't connect.
It didn't connect, which it's
Punch
always
didn't
the
connect.
rules.
You know,
Doesn't matter about the intent.
The intent apparently doesn't matter. Didn't connect, but stays in the game. You know, Christian Laettner stayed in the game, and he kicked and stepped on Aminu Timberlake. So, and that was in an Elite Eight game. So, and then he got later on had one of the greatest shots, you know, that we keep seeing over and over again. Had he been kicked out of the tournament that game, we wouldn't have the Grant Hill to Christian Laettner pass because you know he had committed a flagrant 2 foul earlier in the game. But we see those different personalities are only heightened in those moments when it matters. And last year, Florida had a player that just was an extreme level of clutch.
Yeah.
And like when it got tougher, it's Patrick Mahomes. Like his body and his heart rate dropped. And everything slowed down for him. And he was the most outstanding player, and Florida won a national championship because of that. Remember, they were down, 2 possessions in the final 30 seconds against UConn last year in the second round, Florida was? I mean, without him knocking down shots last year, we're talking about Todd Golden being a 1 seed, losing in the second round back-to-back years to an 8 or a 9 seed. Instead, they won a national title because they had a player that said, we will not lose this particular game, but he had played for 5 years, not for 5 minutes. In college. And that's the difference between having a freshman that says I will not lose versus a fifth-year player that went from under-recruited to Iona to Florida to outstanding player of the Final Four. You have these certain things along the way that you have to find in personality, and all 3 local teams were missing that this year.
So I thought a little bit to that line, because I thought Darren Peterson down the stretch did a really good job getting KU back in this game. I think for about 20-ish minutes, first half really, Darren Peterson was so passive. I was thinking, this does not look like the number one. I mean, you saw DeBance take over for a while for BYU.
To the last 4 minutes.
And then he disappeared.
It's like the flip. Darren Peterson in the last of the game was like, no, I'm going to take over. And A.J. DeBance at 35 in the last 4 minutes, he just kept passing.
Well, and so Darren was like, I'm going to take over. I don't want to lose. Part of me was like, that's great, but where was this the majority of the season or even in this game early on? And I think it also shows a big reason of for all the KU fans that say fire Bill Self, you guys are dumbasses. What are you doing here? I'm sorry. It's Bill bleeping Self. Let's. I know you're KU.
You want to trade?
Yeah. Let's trade. Let's trade. Let's see how that goes. I do think it was poor roster construction, and I said this for a while now. When you have Darren Peterson, you have to surround him with shooters. I like Melvin Council a lot, but with Melvin Council and Darren Peterson, that makes no sense on the floor together. It doesn't work. Like Trey White should make some sense, but he's not really He's your best three-point shooter this year, but he's not a traditional three-point shooter. Bryson Tiller should be more of a stretch four. Just the lack of aggression is ridiculous. There's so little spacing on the floor. So when Darren does drive, his only option is to try and get fouled. Because if he kicks out, he'll kick it to Melvin. Do you want Melvin shooting those threes? I think the answer is pretty much no. And so I think, to me, personally, this was poor roster construction by Bill Self. That's what we saw. If you do get a guy like Darren Peterson, you have to have a roster created for him. Fair or not, that's probably what it should have been.
And this is what I wonder moving forward, because I liked the roster construction last offseason. Because you had seen we watched a Bill Self in the NIL era say, let me get the best players. I'm going to go get Storr and Griffin and Hunter Dickinson. And he went into this offseason and said, I've got Darren Peterson. Let me surround him with certain pieces. I've got Melvin Council that can handle the ball when Darren Peterson isn't on the ball. I've got a shooter in Trey White. We're bringing in this really athletic shooter in Cole Rosario as a freshman. We've got Bryson Tiller as a redshirt freshman that's going to be able to space the floor a little bit. It's not going to be Hunter and KJ clogging up the middle.
Sure. And
we've got Flory that's a rim runner and can run up and down. You can screen and roll with Darren Peterson and Flory. Like, you've got so many different things here. But what what I wonder is roster construction, or as opposed to John Calipari, who the second he got to Kentucky has had every year almost a new team.
Sure.
When he had all freshmen and freshmen and freshmen and freshmen, one and dones and one and dones and one and dones. And then he's in the NIL era and transfers, and then gets to Arkansas and transfers and freshmen with Acuff and Malik Thomas. And his experience of taking a bunch of new guys and molding them over the course of a season versus the best teams we've seen from Bill Self are the teams that have been around in the system for a number of years and played together. That championship team in 2022.
The Izzo method. It's
and Izzo's
guys.
had a number of players that have been around on this team, this year for Michigan State, and we see that with, UConn's had a number of players
Auburn
that have returned.
last year.
Nebraska, Iowa. Now Sanford's a new player from Iowa, which is odd that Nebraska and Iowa are now playing, and the the best two best players are Sanford from Nebraska that was at Iowa, and Bennett Sturtz from Liberty at Northwest Missouri State, and Drake, and now at Iowa. Great story. Looking forward to that on Thursday night. But I wonder if in today's NIL, how difficult it will be for Bill Self. You're not going to turn down Darren Peterson because he's only going to be around for 1 year.
No.
Just as you're not going to turn down Stokes, the number one player in America, if he chooses Kansas, which that's the expectation is that he's going to choose. They already have Kenny, and he's going to be more than likely a one and done. So it's Stokes, right, as the number one player in America, the power forward. If he chooses Kansas, he's going to be a one and done. But you're not going to say, no, thank you, because we'd like players to stay around for a couple, 3 years. You're not going to turn that down. But I wonder if Bill Self and what we've seen from him over the years, if it's roster construction or it's taking new guys and molding them into a second weekend or Final Four team over the course of boot camp to the NCAA tournament, is something that he's as experienced with as maybe some of the other coaches. And if it's circumstantial right now or bad luck in that he hasn't had a team where retention is the main course as opposed to replacement, which will be now 2-3 years in a row.
Yeah, assuming that he's back, I think that the main focus will be trying to retain Flory Badunga, Bryson Tiller, Cole Rosario. I mean, call me crazy, Amarco Jackson and Jamar McDowell, because you want to have a familiar group coming back. And at times, fans, especially in this new era, want to blow everything up every time you lose or you underachieve. It's like, get everybody out of here. They're all terrible. Clearly, they're terrible. This team wasn't good. But you have to put it into a big picture here of Bryson Tiller was really poor down the stretch. There were also moments where you went, that's the next great big at KU. Running him off because of the way he ended the year wouldn't be the right thing to do. If Flory Badunga leaves, I mean, he tested the waters last year. If he does it again, then you need to make sure that Bryson Tiller is your 5. But, the roster construction has been an issue 3 years running. After they had lost in the first or second round to Arkansas as a 1 seed, they lost, I believe, Jalen Wilson that year. They brought back Kevin McCullough, and it was go get Hunter Dickinson. You need the big because last year KJ Adams was your 5. That team lost to Gonzaga by 30,000 points in the round of 32. Then it was, well, you got to get shooters for Hunter Dickinson because they're going to put 3 to 4 guys on him in the post. They get Rylan Griffin, they get A.J. Storr, they get Diggy Coit. That team was even worse than the previous one. Then this year was you got to get Bill Self guys. And I thought they really did. The problem was, what just wasn't really able to be controlled until the final month. Nobody could have predicted that Darren Peterson would have the year that he did, where it was this cramping issue, the full body cramps, and then it was playing, not playing. That probably separated them from being a 4 seed to maybe a 2 seed if there were no limitations to him all year long, being in the lineup, getting comfortable. And that's why we are where we are. It's not to excuse the loss. It's not to pin everything on Darren Peterson not being available. This team was not good enough to win a championship. Even when they had won 8 in a row in Big 12 play, they still were not good enough to beat the top dogs because you would see them play elsewhere. Florida, Michigan, Arizona. They were in a different league. And yes, Kansas beat Arizona at home. It's also the home court of Allen Fieldhouse and playing with the emotion. And you weren't going to have that in the NCAA tournament. And that's why going into this offseason, it's probably the third part that you can go in the transfer portal, which is retention. You have a good recruiting class coming in. Try to bring back the guys that you have and improve within the margins, but it can't be this, well, it's obvious what we need. I'm not sure it's that obvious because every offseason it's felt that way of, well, that's why they lost because they didn't have shooters or they couldn't rebound or they didn't have a big. They've tried all these different directions. To me, it's more so about how Bill Self's offense plays. And unfortunately, even though he's a Hall of Fame coach, he's great, and I would like to have him back another year, it's a dinosaur-like offense. You see all these other teams play, putting up 100+. Kansas has played the same way offensively since Bill Self took over. It's the high-low. It's played through the post, and even if you have a great big, Hunter Dickinson averaged 18 and 12 last year, it's not working anymore. And that needs to be that look-in-the-mirror moment of how can we stop losing to teams that are on our level by 25 points? Well, you need to adapt to the current landscape of college basketball, and it's not just recruiting and the transfer portal era. It's about how you play.
That was my exact point. You nailed it. It's the same offense. It's antiquated. It's a little outdated. The number 6. 6 was the amount of three-point attempts by anyone not named Darren Peterson last night for KU. 6. In 2026, 6 three-point attempts by not Darren Peterson is not going to fly. You have to have shooters.
Well, and the question would be, you just went up against a team that's not a good three-point shooting team, that doesn't shoot a lot. And in that game where two teams, typically Bill Self's calling card has been tough, hard-nosed, in-your-face, man-to-man defense. Rick Pitino's calling card has always been in-your-face. Sometimes it's full-court press. Sometimes it's just token defense. Sometimes it's dropping back in a matchup 2-3 zone, which is what they won the national championship with in 2013 because they had players that had been in the system for 4 years, and that 2-3 zone was just unbelievable to watch because it was a 2-3 zone that was man-to-man principles, as Bill Raftery would say. It was great. So he's adjusted, and he's been a chameleon over the years. He went from a team last year that shot the ball and scored a lot to a team this year that doesn't have shooters. So why is Bill Self in a game against Rick Pitino, two teams that don't shoot the ball well, and one's up by 14 by having a team that doesn't shoot it well, and Kansas is trailing in a team that doesn't shoot it well? Why was Rick Pitino able to enforce their strengths and emphasize the weaknesses of Kansas more than Kansas was able to emphasize their strengths and the weaknesses of St. John's? That would be a question, too. Now, I think Rick Pitino's one of the greatest coaches that ever lived. I think he's the greatest modern-day coach that ever lived. I don't care if people can argue Coach K. That's fine. Not going to argue that. Coach K did it at Duke. Rick Pitino's done it everywhere. So you are going up against that, but you're also a Hall of Fame coach in Bill Self in that particular manner. And as we break to the point of like running players off of like, you know, McDowell, El Marco, see ya, good riddance, all of that stuff, I am not comparing these players at all. So do not mistake for this. I don't remember the conversation, quite frankly, on March 23rd or whatever it was of the NCAA tournament when Kansas lost by 37 to USC in that game, or 34, whatever it was. But I don't know that the conversation was, okay, you're fine with Ochai, Christian Brown, McCormick, and Harris moving forward. That's going to be a group that can win you a national title. Because in that game against USC, Ochai and Christian Brown combined for 13 points on 23 shots. It was bad. McCormick scored 5 points to 1. Harris scored 3 in that game. They combined for 21 points in that game that you lost by 34, and that was your core returning. Was that team going to win a national title? Well, you went and got Remy. Okay, cool. And no, now you've got your score. And it wasn't even Remy until, like, you know, tournament time, which helped. But that was the core that had just got their brains bashed in by USC the year before and played terrible basketball in that game. And instead, they come together and win a national title the next year. They had been around. They learned from it. I'm not saying El Marco and McDowell and Cole Rosario are the same thing. But there is nothing wrong with having some players around that have been there, done that, understand the system, because it is a constant turnover and churning out players, and they're going to bring in 2 of the top 15 players in America. If you can get Flory back and Bryson Tiller, I think Cole Rosario is a big one to get back. I think you've got 3 right there. If El Marco and McDowell are bench players, okay, that's fine. You can start to elongate your bench. Get a transfer here or there. Now you're talking about 8 or 9 guys deep throwing in with 2 top 15 players in America. Now you're starting to cook, okay? So we'll see what ultimately happens. But Bill Self, I think, has thrived on players being in the system and staying around and learning and handing down to the next generation of player what the expectations are at KU. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll continue rolling. We'll get into the strategy late in the game, what took place, how it took place, why it happened that way, what Bill Self's intention was. We'll hear from Bill Self. Rick Pitino weighs in on the final play, and we will get into, at 11 o'clock, the Missouri Tigers, and also how these teams move forward. We know how K-State is attempting to move forward in college basketball. How does Mizzou? How does Kansas? We talked a little bit about there with Kansas, but Mizzou and Kansas, how do they move forward? And we may be talking about this with Bill Self, and it might be a moot point. It might be Kansas finding the next head coach. We'll see. Greg McDermott stepped down today. He's no longer coaching. The best coaches in college basketball, Creighton, long time, they hand it over to their successor and don't go through a full coaching search. That may be the case with Kansas. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. More Zone next. All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you, Sterling Holmes, Michael Darcy, Jack Johnson. Let's hear from Bill Self, and this is clip number 2. Let's play that one. This is Bill Self weighing in on the end-of-game strategy and the fouls that they committed.
Well, use the clock. That's what I was thinking. I wish that when Cole fouled the first time, he fouled in 1 second. I wish he could have just let him hold it and foul with 5 seconds into it. So now you got a situation where maybe there's not 3-9, maybe there's 2-0 or 1-5. But our whole deal was with that many team with only 2 team fouls, why wouldn't you go ahead and foul in that situation? We left them too much time, but irregardless of that, you got to guard 3 or 4 bounces, and we didn't do it.
The strategy I understand, and I'm fine with the strategy with the first 3 fouls. But what Bill Self talked about there when he said, well, we would have liked Cole to wait a little bit to foul, well, at that point, you've got to make sure that everybody knows, hey, let him dribble a little bit. Let the clock run down before you foul. Because the very next foul, Trey White fouled with 2 seconds. They got the ball, took 2 dribbles, and he fouled him. Like, dude, Darren Peterson hit free throws with 13 seconds left. Kansas committed 2 fouls, and there was 11 seconds left. Like, you committed 2 fouls in 2 seconds. Like, that's where it's the second the first one happens. As soon as the first one happens, and Bill Self says, well, I would have liked him to dribble around a little bit more and take some more time off the clock. Then why did your 4th/5th/ every different place he's been Trey White do the exact same thing right after that? And then you allowed 5 seconds to go off the clock before Rosario fouled. So that's what you should have done to begin with. 13 seconds down to 6, foul. Get the ball in, they dribble, foul. Now you're at 4 seconds, you've got 2 more to give.
Yes.
And now it's really dire straits for St. John's. What I would not have done, though, is when you got to 6 seconds and you still had 1 to give, I think I would have played that one out. And
then if a guy gets by you, then you can use it.
If he gets by you, then you go for the ball and try to get it. Now with the continuation thing and the gather, but you've got to be smart enough to be able to do that. But the second the 4th foul was committed, that they had those 4 fouls to give, and they gave all of them with 4 seconds left, I know the annoyance is there with El Marco, but you took the teeth away from him. Like, he was afraid, I can't foul him because now we're in the bonus. Now he's going to shoot free throws. So I've got to just defend next to him. And I don't know what Flory was doing. Like, that seems to be a pretty easy block shot for a guy whose job is there to block the shot. He went up to jump, and then he just stopped. I don't know. That's one of those to where you just jump and you smother the thing.
Trifecta, and Darren Peterson could have came down with the lack of time. I mean, it was all around. It's not all on Marco.
No, I mean, but it's the strategy, though. But it's, one, people are upset at the strategy. My only issue with the strategy is taking all of your fouls to give. The execution is not allowing the time to run off the clock. And I'm not sure the last time we've talked about it in game with Bill Self saying, well, there was somewhat of an issue with strategy and a pretty big issue with execution for Bill Self in a moment like that, especially when you kind of had after Rosario fouled immediately, at that point, you've got to let him know, hey, let the time run. But Trey White immediately fouls again. And that's when Bill Self was like, what are we doing? And I am looking at the TV going, yes, Bill, what are you doing? How did you allow your team to do that twice with 2 seconds running off the clock with 2 fouls? Like, that can't happen.
No, it was a disastrous, I don't want to say, complete 14 seconds, because there were moments that I thought it was the perfect time to foul, right? You trap a little bit, the guy starts to break free, you don't want him to have a straight line drive, but that's ultimately what ended up happening. I've gone back and watched from not really the bird's eye view, but it's like the backcourt view of that play. Mm-hmm. To me, every guy on the floor didn't want to be the one to let their man score, because that should never happen in a game where you get a head of steam and it's just a straight line drive. There is no crossover. There's no nothing. It is right hand, ball in my hand. I'm going straight there. Elmarco Jackson, too, at the end. That kind of comes back to being in the moment, not really knowing what to do. If he gets that close, I'm sorry. You got to hack the hell out of him. You got to at least have him go to the free throw line and earn it. You can't just do this with your hands because you're nervous you're going to bump him and then you're going to go to the free throw line. So maybe that's on Bill Self, having it at 6 fouls where he was playing so timid. The other part to this, though, is Darren Peterson on the wing. If they dribble and kick and it's a wide open three, based on the percentages in your scouting report all day long, because I can't say week, probably all day long the other day, you let them shoot that other than a probably 90% success rate layup for a guy that hadn't scored in the game, but Division I athletes are going to be able to make that. Flory Badunga, not being able to just sit in the paint and say, you're going to have to shoot this over me. And if he dishes it off, I'm still here to contest it, and I'm one of the better contesting bigs probably in the NCAA tournament. I think it was not the perfect ending. It was a disastrous ending for KU fans, but if you look at how they played in 30-plus games, not that this exact play happened so many times, but it was a lot of defensive lapses, offensive lapses, where you were left as a spectator saying, how did they do that? Well, what led them to do that? And I don't want to put it all on coaching there. Some of these guys, they're just not best for that moment. They're not going to make the heads-up play. They're not going to make the smart play. And there were 30 minutes of data that showed that many of these guys were not ready for this moment. They didn't really know what to do. The fact of press, where it wasn't even like this 3-2 trap or anything, it was just man-to-man physical press defense, and they looked discombobulated by it. And they knew going in, Rick Pitino was going to press. They had all these press breakers set, and yet they still couldn't get the ball in bounds. So to see this final play defensively, it's why I would have maybe tried to go for the win. Like I said, 3 times now in this show, hindsight's 20/20. If Darren Peterson misses the 3, you still foul him, and then you get a couple more chances. But that's exactly why, is I think when you go up by 1, as we saw against Texas Tech earlier in the year when Peterson had the go-ahead 3, it's this, okay, you have to be sped up now. St. John's would have been sped up knowing that I'm not going to let the clock get to 0. I'm going to probably try to get multiple chances here. And that's why the design play, maybe it was, Darren, whatever look you get, you take what you want. And he wanted to drive to the rim and get fouled. It was close to an and one. But that's just where that team in that moment, they're not built for it. That you just knew that something disastrous was going to happen in those final 10 seconds, and that it did, and it ended their season.
And it's funny you talk about playing the percentages of Darren Peterson. Does he come down and dig and then leave a shooter open? I think they did play the percentages in that this guy's not going to be the one to take the shot. This guy's driving to set up somebody else. This guy's driving to draw. I do think while I talk about Flory, jump up and block that, there was a part of me that thought, well, Flory in his mind is like, this guy ain't shooting. He wants me to jump, so he's going to dish it to Zuby for a layup. So I'm coming over to act like I'm going to jump, but now I'm stopping and defending Zuby. Oh, bleep, he actually shot that? Darren Peterson, I'm not digging on that because he's looking to kick it out. El Marco, I understand he's not going to shoot the ball, so I am not going to overplay him and foul him with the body and put him at the free throw line because this guy hasn't made a shot all day. He's been terrible, and he's missed shots by a pretty decent margin, and he's not going to be the one to take the shot. So I'm going to guard him with the fact that he's looking to set somebody else up. I think they played the percentages. It's just this guy ended up taking the shot and making it, and he literally did not make a shot in the 40 minutes of basketball. He made a shot after the clock expired.
Well, that's why I said
the ball never went through the hoop for that guy, except for after. It took 40 minutes and 1 second for him to actually make a shot.
That's why I said Darren should have dug, and I think Flory should have came over because there was only so little time.
They thought he was going to shoot it.
I'm with you, but by the time he got to that point underneath, oh man, again, the ball went in after the time expired, so there wasn't enough time to kick to Zuby for a layup at that point.
Because they also forced him right, like he's a left-hander, and so Marco's like he can't go left. I'm going to overplay left and force him right. Okay,
sure.
Now he's driving down the lane as a left-hander with his right hand.
It's a great shot. I mean,
and he's going to shoot it.
You tip your cap.
Absolutely. I think the percentages that they played was make him go right, and he's going to look to set somebody else up. And if he's trying to finish at the rim over with El Marco defending him with his offhand, and he's been terrible with his strong hand, and Flory there, we like our chances with that as opposed to this team's been hitting threes, so we want you guys to play strong defense and don't allow this guy to drive and kick because that's what they want to do anyway. and the kid hit the shot, and that's why I guess Rick Pitino calls them bells. So, because he's got balls the size of church bells, and he did that. So, that's why he calls them bells. You know that?
No.
That's a true story. Earlier this season, he said, Darling has balls the size of church bells, and now his nickname is Bells. Darling. So, it's a true story.
Gotta love it.
True story. So, we'll take a time out. We'll come
Wild.
back, continue rolling, wrap up this hour. We'll talk some Missouri basketball in the 11 o'clock hour. We'll get into some Royals at noon with Joel Penfield. We got Mick Schaefer.
We're calling
joining us.
boulders.
I don't think they do. More Zone coming up next.
Baseball is back, and this baseball season, FanDuel is letting you choose your own reward for opening week. It's like choose your own adventure books, only better, because this way, you always win. Betting customizations that transform how you experience the game. Make your choice, and the reward will be ready to use on your next MLB bet. And by the way, FanDuel is the home of home runs. This year, let's be real, I'm rocking with the Royals a lot. I know that's probably the popular pick. I know it's the local pick here, but they look damn good. I love how their floor was raised. And the specific player I'm really rolling with, and maybe I'm dumb, but, it doesn't have to be mutually exclusive here. Salvador Perez, I think with the shorter fences, I love the underlying metrics last year. I think he's due for a huge season, even at his age. I think Carter Jensen will keep him off his feet. A little more DHing for Salvi, which means I think the bat stays hot. I like some home runs from Salvi this upcoming season. I'm rolling with him. So if you are ready to play your game, starting on Wednesday, Major League Baseball is underway with regular season games. Head to FanDuel.com/local to choose your reward for MLB's opening week. FanDuel, an official partner of MLB Baseball.
21 plus and present in Missouri. Opt-in required. Rewards are non-withdrawable. Restrictions apply, including bonus and token expiration, leg requirements, and max wager amounts. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
All right, so as we go to break here and wrap up this hour, here's where we find out Dylan Darling how he got his nickname.
And they never broke. They just stayed with it. Dylan Darling, he's got balls as big as church bells. I mean, it's unbelievable.
That was when he hit a three-pointer against Xavier in Cincinnati to win the game.
It'd be uncomfortable, quite frankly.
Yeah.
When you walk, you just hear noises.
Uh-huh.
Is it noon?
No, it was zero bells when he made the
Put
shot.
his church bells in Marco's face.
I don't think he did that, though. I don't think he did that.
Ding, ding.
Yeah. I don't think he did that. We'll see. Let's talk Mizzou, I guess.
Ew.
I will continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you. Sterling Holmes, Michael Darcy, Jack Johnson hanging out with us, heading up until 2 o'clock. An hour from now, we'll talk with Joel Penfield. We'll talk some Royals baseball. The Royals, they play a game this week. It's game week for the Royals, and it's game week for 16 college basketball teams that are remaining. We have pretty much chalk, except for 9 Iowa and 11 Texas. I don't think 6 over 3 Tennessee over Virginia is, oh my God, look at this Cinderella. We don't have traditional Cinderella, but
Texas as an 11's pretty.
That's not a traditional Cinderella. That's
well, no,
Texas.
not the team, but
That's
still,
what I mean.
it's.
No, my son was like, "Well, Texas is a Cinderella story." I'm like, you can't be a Cinderella story at Texas."
Yeah, you're right. It's not. It's
But I do wonder, and we'll talk about this week, and I want to ask Myron about this tomorrow. Is this the new Cinderella? Iowa, a Texas, a team like that.
Nebraska, even though they were 4, is semi-Cinderella because they've never won a game until.
Like, to me, that's sort of one of the questions too. Like Nebraska is kind of a Cinderella type story in going from never winning an NCAA tournament game to having more NCAA tournament wins in the last 3 days than Missouri has had in the last 15 years.
Stop it. Ow.
That's my transition.
Pain.
1-9.
Just
Missouri
pain
is
everywhere.
1-9 in the last 15 years for Mizzou in the NCAA tournament.
With decent matchups and relatively close, you're playing in, and they just.
So let's talk about that
They
game.
hurt.
That game yesterday, Mizzou. We talk about Kansas and the personality of a team throughout the season. The leopard doesn't change its stripes, or zebra, or spots, or whatever. What I'm saying is the dinosaur doesn't change its turtle walking. The car doesn't change its eating habits. You're not going to go from a team that struggles to begin the game, that falls behind by double digits, and then all of a sudden they come out early and they dominate the game. We were wondering about that. And the frustrating part, if there is a frustrating part, because I don't know that there were a lot of frustrations after the game, but it wasn't like heartbreak to where it's like, oh my God, I am so mad and I'm inconsolable for a couple of days. I was unnecessarily annoyed by a 10 seed losing to a 7 seed on Saturday and even Sunday morning. But I mean, it's like when I thought, I'm just annoyed by it. Like I'm not like hurt or upset and oh my God, I can't believe my team lost. It's just like annoying.
I felt like Drum Tang.
Because of how embarrassed.
I was pissed.
I'm pissed at these. A lot of these guys aren't going to be back anyway. This is embarrassing. And it was. But unlike Jerome Tang, Dennis Gates almost broke his arm patting himself on the back for what he was able to do with this particular team. The annoyance is they played the final game of the season the way they had played the final part of the season. They fell behind early, got behind by double digits in the first half, came back, took a lead, lost the game. Like, it is hard to do that 4 consecutive games to end the season.
Yeah.
That you fall behind, well, except for the Oklahoma game. So you lose your final 4 games. But the final 3 games, you fall behind by double digits in the first 30 minutes of the game. You come back to take the lead and then lose that game. They fell behind by 20 to Oklahoma. They fell behind by 16 or 15 to Arkansas, 16 to Kentucky, and 10 to Miami in the first 30 minutes of the game. The first half, those final 3 games, first half down by 15 to Arkansas, down by 16 to Kentucky, and down by 10 to Miami. And they took the lead in every one of those games, but they immediately lost it. It's the same thing over and over again. The last 4 games of the season, they played 160 minutes. They led for a total of 12 minutes. And the last 2 games, tournament games, win or go home, they led for less than 2 minutes. In those 80 minutes of basketball, they led for less than 2 minutes. And after the Kentucky game, Like the nerve of Missouri talking about it's not a home game, all of that BS. After the Kentucky game, for Dennis Gates to talk about the crowd of Kentucky, and it was a road atmosphere and a road game for Kentucky there in Nashville, and it was a road game and having to overcome that, and then to downplay the crowd on your side on that game, in that game on Friday night about not a home game and this and, well, no. You don't get to play it both ways.
Yeah.
You don't get to talk about how the atmosphere hurt you against Kentucky and then the atmosphere wasn't there and it wasn't a home game against Miami, because it was. The issue is you didn't allow it to be. Your team came out lazy as hell.
Always.
What did we talk about all week? Miami, offensive rebounds. They pound the glass, offensive rebounds. And what did Missouri do? Get beat on the defensive board time and time again. I watched the Michigan State game. They play Saturday or Sunday, I can't remember, but Michigan State against Louisville. And in the first 5 minutes of the game, they go to break and they interview the coach. And they interviewed Tom Izzo. And Izzo goes, well, I'm actually kind of pissed off right now because, we've given up 2 offensive rebounds and they got points off them. We don't do that around here. And I'm like, imagine a coach saying, we gave up 2 offensive rebounds in the first 5 minutes. We don't do that here.
16.
And Dennis Gates
16.
Well, it's what they do well. We knew it was going to be a battle for us on the offensive, for them on the offensive glass. We knew that was going to be something we were going to have to. But you didn't, though. Because if you really, really wanted to battle that, you would sacrifice some of your secondary break.
Yep.
So all 5 guys come and rebound the ball. And if we have to get less in the fast break, if we have to play more in the half court, we're good with that, because if we limit their second and third opportunities, we will win this game, because they are not very good on their first shot. But they are one of the top 5 offensive rebounding teams in America. We know that going in. And yet you still got beat time and time again on the offensive boards. Why is that? It's coaching, it's preparedness, it's want to, and it's yet another game where the first half, Mizzou didn't show up. And they had the home court advantage in 2 of the final 3 games. Arkansas at home, and you've got this game against Miami in St. Louis, a heavy Mizzou crowd. You lost last year to Drake in Wichita with a home crowd.
Yep.
You lost Friday night to Miami with a home crowd. Dennis Gates has lost his last 3 tournament games to a 15, an 11, and a 7 by a combined 39 points.
Not ideal.
39 points. They didn't lose to a 1 seed by 20, right? They lost to a 15 by double digits, an 11 by double digits, and a 7 by double digits in the tournament. You know what? I said this last night on Sunday Sound Off. But this is the issue for Missouri going forward. And we could talk about this game specifically and then the bigger picture for Mizzou moving forward.
Yeah.
Mizzou under Dennis Gates has played 19 games in March in the 4 years that he's been at the head coach. He's 4-15 in March. 4-15 in March.
That'd be a good 3-point percentage.
You wouldn't even take that from 3. 4-15. He's got 1 in the last 3 years. 1 win in March in the last 3 years. Now, 2 years ago, they had 0 wins from January on.
Yeah.
So, that hurts your resume. But even if you say the last 2 years combined, you've got 1 win in March, and you made the tournament both times. And you've got 1 win. 4 total wins in March in 4 years? That's not good enough. If you are trying to, because what's Missouri's goal with a head coach? I think number 1 should be find any way, shape, or form to break the mother bleeping streak of not making a Final Four. So I don't care if you do what you got to do and then the banner comes down. Not going to be the case anymore. Pay whatever you want. But do what you got to do to get there. And you've got a head coach, when it comes March, his team folds. They play their worst basketball when it matters the most. Why is that? Because he ain't figured it out yet. It's 4 years in running, and he can't figure out why his team folds in March.
Well, and I think I'll get into the overarching conversation of Dennis Gates in one moment, but I think you're right. But this game in particular, outside of, which is hard to say, outside of the lack of the lack of boxing out, the giving up 16 offensive. Put your ass in someone. It's not that hard. Just do it.
Clearly, it is for them.
Use your ass. What are we doing here? But in this particular game, we saw the best of Dennis and the worst of Dennis. Because I do think Dennis Gates did a good job of understanding T.O. Barrett this moment's too big. T.O. Barrett was unplayable.
Yeah.
That was one of the worst basketball performances I've seen from a guy who's a pretty solid basketball player.
That Arkansas game.
I mean, more turnovers than assists, 0 of 7 from the field, 0 of 2 from 3, looked overwhelmed, out of control.
All they did was switch defenses on him. We're going to go 2-3 zone. We're going to switch up a different zone. We're going to run man-to-man, and T.O. got in the half court and said, I don't know what they're doing.
I mean, just
so you can't play him.
Befuddled. And so I give Dennis credit, going, you know what? I can't play him. So I'm going to play Anthony Robinson. And Ant said, you know what? I'm going to show you why I was supposed to be a really good player. Anthony Robinson had his best game as a Missouri Tiger. I loved what Anthony Robinson did on Friday night. I thought he was incredible defensively. I thought he was outstanding on offense. 0 turnovers, in control. He would hit a big 3. And I saw him one time. It was a 1-on-3. He got a steal. What did he do? I think old Ant would have tried to drive that and throw up a wild shot, and it's a turnover. What did he do? He slowed up at the half court, and they didn't get in a good possession. I go, that is phenomenal, in control. That is the emotion of Ant that we like to see, but in control. I love that game from Ant. I thought Sean Phillips had himself a really good game overall.
Oh, my God. I mean, Sean Phillips playing like that and Jaden Stone playing like that, and you lose?
I mean, Jaden Stone was phenomenal. But the issue was, and this is my point of why I think he did a good job, he let Sean Phillips go out there and do his thing. He let Jaden Stone play 34 minutes. He said, Ant, you're playing over T.O. Barrett. He goes, those 3 guys, you're not really all ride or dies, but we're going to ride or die with you today. And it worked. But the issue that I think Dennis had was, and it's, again, not all his fault, but it is because he creates the team, Jacob Cruz played 20 minutes.
Oh, God.
He's not hitting shots. 0 of 6. And guess what? He's your worst defender by a wide margin.
Good God, man.
But the other issue you have is, who are you going to play? Trent Burns couldn't play. T.O. Barrett couldn't play. Trent Pierce was brutal in this game. So who are you going to play? Someone has to play.
Pierce.
I would play Pierce. Pierce played 26 minutes. The point was...
At least I get size and some defense with Trent Pierce.
Sure.
And some shooting.
And so I don't argue that, but the point that I go back of, it's still Dennis's fault because he creates the roster. He's the one. It's not like you are the GM to an extent like you are in the... Like, hey, you put this roster together. They just weren't deep enough because when those guys were playing poorly with Mark Mitchell being passive, because the first half, it looked like the game was too big for Mark, which I was surprised by. Towards the end, he hit some big threes. I'll give him a lot of credit. 8 of 10 from the free throw line. He stepped up down in the second half to an extent, and then it got out of hand, of course. But what was Dennis supposed to do when you had 4 guys who were unplayable and your best player was being passive?
What was he supposed to do? I would say have his team prepared to face different zone defenses from Miami. I would say not go into a game where Miami switches zone to man and your team is like, oh, my God, what do we do?
Which, by the way, they ran a little 3-2 at one point. What do you do when you run a 3-2? You don't have an odd set up top. You have an even set. You have 2 guys, not 3 guys. That's middle school basketball.
Shouldn't take 4 or 5 possessions before you get somebody in the middle of the zone that can create. And that's where, like, he put T.O. there, and they got a good offensive possession. And then that didn't happen again. Then he took T.O. out of the game. Okay, so if T.O. Barrett is not playing well as the point guard and assessing the defense and setting things up, let Ant Robinson do that, and then put T.O. in the middle of that zone that you did. And it allows T.O. Barrett to maybe get downhill, his size, kick it out to a shooter. But, 1, his team being unprepared for what the defense was that Miami was going to run. 2, his team getting beat on the offensive glass against a team that's their strength. You know that's what they're going to do.
Yeah.
So you have to limit that. They had 16 offensive rebounds. 16 of them. They rebounded offensively 41% of their misses. Every 10 shots they took, or every 10 shots they missed, 4 of them, they got their rebounds. And that is unbelievable. It's too high of a percentage. But also you get into a game late in the game where, remember against Princeton, and we were watching the game going, why is Dennis Gates sitting here, with this particular group on the court? Why is, who was it that he had sat like a couple of different guys, and it was like, why are those guys not out there on the floor? Like Demoy Hodge was struggling, or Golston. It was like, these guys aren't out there on the floor playing, and you're going up against Princeton. What's going on with this particular lineup that you're throwing out there? And this time around, you've got Jacob Cruz out there on the floor, and at some point, like, look, it's about the player to a degree, but at some point it's also not about the player. I think it's about the player by him being a black hole.
Yeah.
I think it's about the player that he comes in the game and he touches the ball and he's got to shoot. Like, that's not understanding what your role is. Because if you're 0-5, they went on a run and he got the ball passed to him and he immediately chucked it up and shot an air ball. And Miami went down the other way and scored. You were on a run. Then they're on a run. Mark Mitchell hits that three.
Yes.
They come down, miss a three, and Jacob Cruz mistimes the jump. Jumps way too early, lands before the ball gets there, gets tipped around, Miami hits a three. The ball's right to him. Yeah. It's right. All he's got to do is jump and just time it the way that a college basketball player would do. So he's on the floor. He is the player that he is. He's not going to change into some stud player. It's Dennis Gates' one roster construction. He can talk about Honor Boateng and being injured or whatever.
That's my thing. I do think Boateng, the past few games we saw it because he would have played over Cruz. I firmly believe that he would have.
I don't know that. I would have said that T.O. Barrett or anybody would have played over Cruz. Like, he played the most minutes he's played in like a month and a half. Played 20 minutes in this game, in the final game, and he was doing absolutely nothing. He wasn't playing defense. No. He was giving up shots, and even the three in transition was his fault.
Yeah.
Because the dribbler, he wasn't fast enough to get in front of the ball handler. He was trying, he was running as fast as he could, and he couldn't turn the corner to get in front of him. So Jaden Stone had to come down in the lane to stop ball, which the kick out to a wide open three. If Jacob Cruz was fast enough to cut off the ball handler, Jaden Stone can stay outside. It's not a transition three for Miami. Even that was his fault. And again, it comes down to continuing to play the man. And that is on Dennis Gates. Of watching a game, they watched that whole game, Dennis Gates did, and they came out of a timeout and set up a play for Jacob Cruz to shoot.
Yeah, you're right. They came up after a timeout for a play for him. That was
a damn near fireable offense. Like, I watched the game, I'm like, this dude is 0 for 4, has shot an air ball, has almost airballed a little jump hook in the lane, and that's the guy you go, we got to get him a shot. How about Trent Pierce? He's actually hit one today.
What about Jaden Stone, who was electric?
Yeah,
Ant Robinson, who was amazing, those two.
Set up a play for one of those guys. But Jacob Cruz, if I didn't know any better, I would think he's the coach's son. He just keeps playing him as if it was like a Make-A-Wish kid. Like, oh, he won a raffle, so he gets to play 20 minutes in the second half. What are we supposed to do? The kid won a raffle. We're stuck. You know? The insurance is going to help pay for it, but we don't have any choice but to play this kid that won a raffle. It's going to be on the ESPN. They're going to do a whole 30 for 30 on it. That's why this Jacob Cruz kid gets to play. And then for him, and again, my frustration with Jacob Cruz, the player, is there, but it's also bigger picture Dennis Gates in playing the player.
Sure.
But this is where my frustration comes back to Jacob Cruz. After the game, he says, well, they wanted it more than us.
Yeah. Oh, man, I was livid.
It's back-to-back games where Jacob Cruz has said the other team wanted it more than us. Remember the Kentucky game? He said, well, they wanted it more than us. Hey, Jacob, what, do you got a mouse in your pocket? If I'm Anthony Robinson or Mark Mitchell, I want you to shut the hell up. You don't speak for me.
Yeah.
You don't know how badly I wanted it. What that says is how bad you wanted it. They wanted it more than you did. Because you don't know how bad Ant Robinson wanted it. You don't know how bad Sean Phillips wanted it. You don't know how bad Jaden Stone wanted it.
Yep.
All you know is how bad you wanted it. And it's back-to-back games at the end of the season. They wanted it more than us. No, dude. They wanted it more than you.
Yeah.
Because you don't speak for everybody else. You speak for yourself. If Mark Mitchell wants to say that, Mark Mitchell can say that. Jaden Stone, Sean Phillips, those guys can say that. But it's back-to-back games you lost while they wanted it more than us. Or you didn't play well. Maybe you wanted it really bad, you just weren't good enough. So he may think that's some sort of an excuse of like, well, you know, we're a really good team, they just wanted it more. No, it's a bad look, dude. It's a bad look to say that, and it's a bad look for Dennis Gates to say this. This is clip number 6. Dennis Gates was asked, how do you look back and assess the year for you, Dennis Gates?
How I will remember this season. I'm pretty difficult on myself. I'm hard on myself when it comes down to coaching. I don't think any coach could have brought the team to this place based off of where we were dealing with the injuries that we dealt with. So I pat myself on the back at the same time, but there was still sort of a goal in mind. I want to win a national championship, and I didn't. So for me, that's a fail. It's just that simple.
Yeah, but it's not that simple because you just said no other coach could have brought the team to that spot that you guys did with the injuries. No other coach? He's the only guy that could have done that? Patino, Bill Self, Todd Golden, Hurley. No other coach could possibly, Shire, no other coach could possibly have done that. John Wooden, he couldn't have done that.
Jerome Tang got K-State to an Elite Eight.
Jerome Tang, yeah, but he couldn't have done what Dennis Gates.
Not at all.
Dennis Gates had two guys injured through non-conference and got them back in January with Trent Pierce and Jaden Stone, and then lost their 8th guy on the bench or 9th guy in Honor Boateng, who didn't play much anyway.
Yeah.
And he got that team to a 10 seed. I mean, my God, what an amazing piece. You know what? I don't know that God could have done that. I don't think God could have blessed those players to a degree that they could have been a 10 seed in the tournament. I mean, wow. I mean, all hail Dennis Gates. Let's shower his feet with roses. This man took that team with Mark Mitchell and Jaden Stone and Sean Phillips and T.O. Barrett and Ant Robinson and Trent Pierce all the way to a 10 seed. Yeah, I do think he's the only man that can take that team and turn it into a 10 seed and lose their last 4 games. I agree with him. Because there might be another coach that could have won one of those games. There might have been another coach that got him to a 9 seed or an 8 seed or a 7 seed. Now, there might be other coaches that could have got him that didn't make the tournament. Certainly, that's a possibility. But boy, in a loss, in a 4-year run at Mizzou that you're 4-15 in the month of March, to lose a game by 14 points, a home game, to have back-to-back double-digit losses in the tournament in home games, to say, I got to pat myself on the back because I'm not sure any coach could have brought this team to this point with the injuries that we faced.
So here's the thing. I understand that he ended up saying, you know, this is unacceptable and I'm mad. This is a failure. I also want to point out Dennis Gates is in a precarious spot, and Missouri's in a precarious spot because the trend has been, one, they mostly make a tournament. That's good. Let's be real in Missouri now. I'm a Mizzou alum. I feel like we can be honest about it. This isn't Gonzaga. This isn't UConn. This isn't Kansas. This isn't Duke or North Carolina. It's not Arizona. You're most years the middle of the SEC, right? That's probably about the goal. I think making it 3 out of 4 years is good, especially after the disaster taken over for Conzo and part of that Kim Anderson. 3 out of 4 years is pretty good. Can we agree there? Can we at least find the common ground of would you take 3 out of 4 years?
I think at Mizzou, 3 out of 4 years should be close to the bare minimum.
Sure.
It's better than what it was. Yes, I will agree. It's better than what was going on.
But in his first 4 years, I think 3 out of 4 years is good.
Considering they made 2 tournaments in the last 10.
Yeah.
3 out of 4 is good.
So I think Dennis Gates has proven that he's at least. There's been progress. I think we can all agree we saw progress coaching this year.
Agreed, yeah.
I think we all agree he can recruit, right?
Yeah, now's the best season for him. He can go and win the offseason.
We all agree that we think there's supposed to be a great recruiting class coming in from Missouri.
Yeah.
The point I'm making here is for all the people that say, fire Dennis and all of this stuff, which I've heard a lot of, I think we're going off of emotions, which is easy to do, because I was very, very mad watching this game. I was pissed. I was pissed watching this game. And I had to take a step back and say, all right, where's Missouri basketball at right now after 4 years under Dennis versus Conzo versus Kim Anderson versus, again, I think Kim's where you really start in this current iteration in the NIL era. And I still think that he gets at least 1 more year. I think one more year at a minimum. For people to say fire Dennis and all, I think you're being a little irrational. Hey, you can fan how you want to fan. You can feel how you want to feel. That is your right. But me personally, I think 3 to 4 years, we have seen progress with some players getting better. Funny, this game was the opposite. We saw normally T.O. was the guy who's gotten better.
Yeah.
I think we saw Mark Mitchell get a lot better.
Yeah.
I do
Trent
think
Pierce got a lot better.
I think Trent Pierce, and if you can keep Trent Pierce, I think there's a lot to work with Trent.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot to work with the T.O., and if Ant comes back, who knows? You're probably only keeping one of those guys.
I'm not sure you're going to have Crow, T.O., and Anthony Robinson on the team next year when Crow's a combo guard. And
yeah, I was saying shooting guard, however you want to view that.
it's sort of a combo, though. He needs the ball in his hands, at least from the main part of him. But
and if that's the point.
Sort of like a not Darren Peterson, but a Darren Peterson type player that he does his best work when he's got the ball and initiates the offense.
We've talked
mostly
about,
for himself.
We've talked about out of timeouts, play calling's been much improved.
Yeah.
Again, I think there still can be positives with Dennis while understanding the lack of success and, quite frankly, the disaster that has been every single March still has to be accounted for. My point is, I'm not ready to give up on Dennis just yet. I think he says, outside of this, a lot of times he does say the right things. I like his demeanor a lot. I know some people don't like how he's so calm on the side. I like that. I like that a lot.
I'd rather have that than a madman on the side. Like
Mick Cronin,
Calipari's a madman. Porter Moser is absurd on the. Sorry, Todd. On the sideline, I could not stand if a coach did that on the sideline. But also, you wouldn't mind him
do that and win. Hurley, you're okay with because he wins.
Getting a little theatrical towards a player as you've given up your 8th offensive rebound in the first 10 minutes of the game.
Sure.
Instead of coming over to the sideline and hands on the side of shoulders and just looking at him and talking to him about not boxing out and just I don't know what he's saying, but
point is long term.
Yeah,
I think next year's the year where you really have the evaluation.
Oh,
next year is the evaluation of is he our guy or is he not? Because 5 years is the point where I think you've had your time. You've now had all your players, especially in the NIL era. 5 years in, you've had all your players.
Yep. I am in complete agreement with that. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll talk about what the next steps are for both of these programs. Bill Self, he's going to talk with his family, see what the future is going to be, what happens if he steps aside and moves on, what does KU do, and the decision that Missouri is going to have to make this offseason because Dennis Gates is going to want a contract extension. So if this is a make-or-break year for Dennis Gates, are you going to Jerome Tang this thing and contractually connect yourself to Dennis Gates after 2027 tournament, no matter or regardless of whatever the outcome is? We'll take a timeout, talk about that next. We'll talk some Royals baseball coming up at noon. Have a little fun with Joel Penfield. Lighten the mood is what we'll do. Royals, hope springs eternal, right? See if they can go and win a division this year. Let's hear from Bill Self last night, yesterday afternoon, evening, after the game was over. I took all of the questions that he was asked about the coaching part of it because they weren't in succession. They weren't right after another. He was asked about it. Then there were a couple of other questions. Then the question was like, I want to go back to that again. And then there were a couple more questions and then go back. So I just took all of that and put it into one clip of Bill Self and the different questions he was asked about his coaching future. I left the original question in there so you hear exactly how, because sometimes how the question was asked can dictate the answer. With like, Bill, do you typically take time after the end of the season? And then he goes, well, I'll take some time and talk. Well, he's going to take some time? Well, he was asked just in general. Well, I'll leave this question in there so you know exactly how it was asked. And here's Bill Self's answer along with follow-ups all in the press conference yesterday that involved his future.
Given what you've gone through on and off the court, how much time will you take to reflect upon what is next on this stage of your career?
Well, I haven't really gone through much on the court. I've gone through some stuff off the court, so I'll get back and get with family and visit and see what's going on. I love what I do. I need to be able to do it where I'm feeling good and healthy to do it, fairly well. So I'll get back home and it'll all be discussed.
Bill, the previous answer you had, I just want to make sure I interpreted correctly. You haven't decided about whether or not you'll coach next year yet?
No, I haven't decided. I'll get back and visit with family, and I've had some obviously some issues off the court health wise, and that'll be discussed. But I love what I do. I want to feel good while I'm doing it though. So. We'll get back and we'll discuss that when we get back.
We haven't asked you in a while. How are you feeling? Are you going through anything now? Or are you
I'm
completely healthy, or what?
I don't know about completely, but I'm feeling. I feel as good as I felt in a long time. So and I'm not making any statements whatsoever. But every year, I think it used to be you work when you get to be done as long as I've done it. I look at it in 5-year increments. Now I'm probably looking at it more in 2-year increments, so to speak. So I've tried to focus on this season and, trying to get us to a second weekend, which we failed at. So I'll go back now and break it down and see where that leads.
How much history do you have in these high-stakes games with buzzer beaters and on the wrong end tonight? Wouldn't that be a terrible way to go out of your career?
Yeah, you missed my point earlier. My career ain't going to be based on one game, whatever. I said I was going to get back and evaluate my health situation. So I think you kind of missed the point on that one.
Boy, what a crappy way to go out. Am I right, Bill? Wouldn't you want to go out winning? Huh?
Is that the dumbest question we've ever heard asked in a press conference?
There's a lot of them. That was a rough one. Thought Bill Self handled that one pretty delicately.
Very well, yeah.
Well, thank you.
The long pause was the biggest FU you could possibly have.
Not the Mick Cronin. What's up, bro?
Yeah.
Serious, bro?
You raising your voice at me? Especially after a loss, too. I thought Bill Self was in some decent spirits after that game and the way that game ended with that type of loss and the season being over and now sort of back to the drawing board again. And one of those things to where, it's immediate. The next, as he said, 4 to 6 weeks are going to be pretty crucial. And he's still got to figure out if he's going to return, what the future is going to be. Is he healthy enough? And he's viewing his career not in 5-year increments, but in 2-year increments. And my question would be, the 2-year increments was starting from now 2 years, or was the 2-year increment last year? And it was the 26 and 27 teams when you've got Darren Peterson and then 2 of the top 15 players in America and probably the number 1 player in America back-to-back years, or number 2 Peterson, depending on which publication you looked at, and then assess again, or this was the second of a 2-year run. Hey, Hunter's last year, DeJuan's last year, KJ's last year, and then you got Darren coming in. That's a 2-year run, and now let me reassess. So if he reassesses now, you would guess that would be another 2-year run for him. I do wonder what KU does, because I think it's a possibility if he's going to go back and talk about his health, and if he's going to be healthy enough to do this to the level that he obviously knows that he has to be at to win at Kansas and reach the goals that they want to reach. I do wonder what the next steps are if Bill Self decides that his life is going to be happier and healthier and better off not coaching basketball for the bigger picture view, because there doesn't seem to be an obvious outside coach successor to come in and go, well, it's that guy. He's the next coach at Kansas. And then how would it go over if they go the John Shire route and just slide over Jacques Vaughn to the head coaching position and go that route? Because Todd Golden at Florida, we'll throw him a bunch of money. Well, he won a national championship at Florida. So it's not like, well, I can't win a national championship here. I got to go to Kansas to a Blue Blood. That's not the thing anymore. The Blue Bloods aren't the only place you can win now anymore. You saw Texas Tech and Houston and Auburn, and these are teams that are playing for national championships. And Purdue played for a national. I know they've got some history, but Purdue played for a national championship a few years ago. Like, we are seeing teams. It's not the North Carolinas, Dukes, Kansas, Kentuckys, Arizonas over and over and over again. You can win at different places. I do wonder what Kansas does now if Bill Self decides to step down. There doesn't seem to be an obvious name out that it's like, oh, go grab him, and that's going to be easy.
You certainly don't want to get in that position where it's like, oh, let's force him out so we can get one of these top name guys, because there's no guarantee whatsoever. I mean, we can all acknowledge Kansas, if the job became open, if he called it quits and this was it for him, then it would be one of the most coveted jobs in the sport in a long, long time. I mean, I know Kentucky's job opened up after Cal went to Arkansas, and they sent a lot of money Mark Pope's way, but also look at how that coaching search went.
Yes.
They threw money at people, and they said no. And that's
Billy
where,
Donovan, Jay Wright, Dan Hurley. They took some big swings.
Yeah.
And they struck out.
You really need to be careful in this process, because I'm sure Kentucky's now going, we would have been fine sticking with Cal. Now that relationship kind of just overstayed its welcome.
I think it ran its course.
It really did run its course. And, Mark Pope's not been great for Kentucky. For Kansas, you're not looking to have this placeholder hire. You are looking to have the best possible coach coming in, whether that's Dusty May or that's Tommy Lloyd, Todd Golden, of course. I mean, those are the big name guys that I'm sure North Carolina would pursue, and Kansas would as well. But now it's just not as obvious as it used to be, where it's like, oh, you're coaching at Michigan. They focus about football over there. Why didn't you come to Lawrence, where you can be the guy, get all of the money toward the program, the athletic department, and it's just not that way anymore. So I wouldn't want it to be Jacques Vaughn, no disrespect to him, but you're replacing Bill Self here. And it needs to be a coach that is currently winning 30-plus games elsewhere. And to the point about, oh, it'd suck if that was his last game. I mean, I know Coach K did it a little bit differently. It was before that season, but do you think he likes that his final game ever was a loss to North Carolina in the Final Four, a 9-seeded North Carolina team? You can't control that. We've also talked about with Travis Kelce, like in his contemplation, there's no perfect send-off all the time. I mean, who's to say he doesn't return and they lose to a double-digit seed in the first round next year? You don't know that.
Or, knock on wood, this is my final year. In week 11, he hurts his ankle and he's out for the year.
Yeah.
Like, well, do you really want to go out on an injury? Well, no, I want to go out winning a Super Bowl, but I don't just get to press the I retire.
They meant Bill Self at first. Going out with an ankle injury, I'm like, oh, I hope Bill Self isn't on the sideline just getting after like that.
But I mean, Travis, you don't
doing laundry like me.
You don't get to press the retire after winning a Super Bowl, John Elway back-to-back, and call it a career. Like, you don't get to press that button and do it like that. Like, it doesn't work that way.
You almost need to target somebody in a perfect scenario. And we'd like to say, Tommy Lloyd and Dusty May, but I'm sure that after this season, those schools are going to throw a lot of money toward those guys, and they have the money to spend. You almost need to have kind of the situation that Arkansas fell into, where you find this school with a really good coach that the fan base is just kind of, run its course with, and then you can use the money to go and get that type of coach. And I'm sure Arkansas.
Dennis Gates.
Yeah, okay. But I would say, even someone like Ben McCollum, who everybody is happy
what
about.
Quinn Snyder?
Well, NBA experience right there.
Look what they did at BYU with NBA experience.
I just don't see him. I don't see that being it for him. Yeah. I think it'll be like, let this loss linger as long as you want it to. It can't be that long. But you have a couple of big-name recruits coming in. You've got some guys you want to develop, but also understand that the off-court stuff, we are a sports radio station. That's more important. I don't think anybody, including Bill Self, wants to go through more of these health scares where he can't coach a game, he's missing some time. If that's not 100% not going to happen again, which I'm not even sure you can guarantee that anymore, then you do need to call it a career and maybe take a role with the university in a GM type role or in the athletic department. But it is a lot of strain, whether you're 60 years old or 35, to go through recruiting nowadays, coaching the non-con conference play in the NCAA tournament. It is so much more strenuous than it was 20 years ago because you might not have the same team every single year.
I would say it's not a coach that has run its course with a team, and it's like, okay, you've kind of just, the Cal to Arkansas type thing, because he's only been there 1 year. And this school has a lot of money to match, but can the blue blood, hey, dude, now you're coaching at Kansas, to Sean Miller, when he got fired at Arizona, took a year off. He's coached for 4 years, 3 at Xavier and 1 at Texas. He's been in the Sweet 16 2 of the 4 years. That first year at Xavier went to the Sweet 16. First year at Texas going to the Sweet 16. The regular season didn't go the way that they wanted, but he's got experience coaching at a high level at Arizona and, making runs. He's been to a couple of Elite Eights in his career, been to the second weekend a lot of times in his career at Arizona. So, maybe that's a name. Is he willing to jump after 1 year? I don't know, but that would be the type of coach, because I don't think a mid-major to Kansas is a leap that you want somebody to take. Bill Self went Illinois to Kansas. I know Roy was different, right? But Illinois to Kansas is a little bit different than St. Louis to Kansas. And I know he just signed a contract extension, but for an example, going from mid-major to KU, whereas Sean Miller's run a big-time program before.
Sure.
And maybe that's where you go. But in today's day and age, and the money that's there with all of the schools paying, and Texas certainly would pay a lot of money, and they've got NIL, is Sean Miller willing to leave and say, no, I'm going to go coach at Kansas because of the draw of it being Kansas? That's what they have going in their favor, obviously. Because it's not just, hey, you're coaching at Kansas, man, it doesn't really matter the money. You're coaching at Kansas. Because, hey, you're coaching at Kentucky, and they had to go to alumni at BYU and Mark Pope to take the job. You don't want to get into that role where you're searching, and it's like, we'll find out with North Carolina. If they fire Hubert Davis, which could happen today, we'll find out with their job search what it looks like. And maybe KU will be the same offseason doing the same thing. But whoever they go after, if that person stays at that particular school, you can go ahead and mark them off for next year too if Bill Self were to walk away. Because if they're turning down North Carolina, what would be the difference between that and KU unless there's some sort of a connection that's there? Sean Miller would be the guy that I'd probably go after if I was Kansas. Doesn't mean that he would immediately take the job. But it is Kansas, and it's not Texas basketball. You're at a football school coaching at Texas. You're at a basketball school at Kansas. Coaches care about that. That does matter. But, yeah, we'll see. I'd rather be an 11 seed in the Sweet 16 than a 4 seed in the round of 32. Because the season didn't go regular season the way that they had hoped, but you clearly see how good this team can be, this Texas team, and we'll see what they do against Purdue. I don't know. Maybe Matt Painter. Missouri almost got him.
Missouri almost got a lot of really good head coaches.
Stupid Robbie Hummel. God, I hate Robbie Hummel. Stupid Robbie Hummel.
Good on the mic.
Yeah, he is good. I know. I actually like Robbie Hummel. But they also just don't listen to me.
Yeah.
Because
shocking.
When they fired Quinn Snyder, I said, go hire John Calipari. Oh, we can't because, the whole Quinn Snyder thing, and Cal has the whole thing at UMass. Okay, cool, because Cal was interested in the job because his wife's from Missouri, and he was going to move back with his wife to Missouri, coach the team, but he was at Memphis. Like, okay, fine, yeah, I'll take the job. Oh, no, the whole Quinn Snyder thing, and you've got to pass, can't do that. Frank Haith's third year, fire him, go hire Kelvin Sampson. The show cause is expiring, go hire Kelvin Sampson, fire Frank Haith. Oh, no, we're going to stay with Frank Haith another year. Kelvin Sampson's hired at Houston. Oh, what's that, Frank? You want to interview at Tulsa? Oh, great, now we got to find a new head coach. Oh, let's go get Kim Anderson. Awesome. That's cool. Hey, you're moving on from Konzo. There's this coach that wins everywhere he goes. Hire Rick Pitino. Or take a chance and go get Ben McCollum, a Division II coach that has won and built a program there and is winning in undefeated teams, not just some random run. Now, we can't go Ben McCollum because we hired Kim Anderson. Okay. So Rick Pitino wins everywhere. Cal, Kelvin, Patino, McCollum. They had opportunities to hire all four of those guys.
Bill Self, too.
Well, yeah, going yes, the original sin.
The original.
The fruit of the poison tree. The Quinn Snyder over Bill Self. Yes, but at the time I wasn't saying, Bill Self is the guy. I'm just going with what I had lobbied for on the air. Calipari, Kelvin Sampson, Rick Pitino, Ben McCollum, many times. And those guys are, let's see, Calipari in Arkansas, Ben McCollum in Iowa, Kelvin Sampson in Houston. That's pretty good.
Yeah, if you like winning.
Rick Pitino in St. John's. They're all in the Sweet 16.
Balls as big as church bells.
Yeah, they're all in the Sweet 16. That's weird. Where's Missouri? Oh, there they are. They were in the round of 64. That's cool. More zone next. All right, wrapping up our college basketball talk, we will talk some Kansas City Royals baseball. The boys in blue. Boys are going to be playing some ball on Friday against the Atlanta Braves. A week from today, home opener for the Royals. 2 more games wrapping up their spring today and then, or tonight, and then tomorrow afternoon against the Rangers. Michael Wacha on the mound in his final tune-up before the regular season. And then 1 more game tomorrow afternoon. A couple days off Wednesday and Thursday. And then the Atlanta Braves for 3 before returning home for the home opener on Monday. So we will talk with Joel Penfield. We'll talk some Royals baseball, what this roster he thinks it will look like. Only a couple of spots open, just some bench guys, back of the bullpen, concerns for Estevez, Garcia, Starr, a lot of stuff to talk about.
Joel Penfield on the Zone is brought to you by Reed Collision Center, serving Overland Park, Kansas City, and St. Joe. Get a free photo estimate in minutes at reedcollision.com. That's reedcollision.com.
All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you, Sterling Holmes, Michael Darcy. Thank you to Jack Johnson hanging out with us first couple of hours. Mick Schaefer will join us in the 1 o'clock hour. Get some Learn Funniest Best with Mick Schaefer. We got some teams to eliminate in our bracket of sound. We still have yet to eliminate all of the teams in the first round from Friday that lost. Next couple days, we'll eliminate the round of 32 teams that ended up losing. Nobody's lost in Major League Baseball yet. The Royals undefeated, getting ready for Friday. They've got these final 2 games with the Rangers tonight and tomorrow afternoon. Let's talk some Royals baseball. Joel Penfield, One Royal Way podcast, joining us here in the Zone on a Monday. Joel, welcome in. How are you, sir?
I'm doing fantastic. Glad to be back with you guys for another season. We had one heck of a sports weekend over this past couple of days between the NCAA tournament, and in my case, I loved watching the NCAA wrestling as well. We got Sweet 16, Elite 8, and opening weekend coming up here. It's a great time to be a sports fan.
How'd Oklahoma State do at the wrestling?
They finished second overall in the team score. I mean, Penn State, if you follow NCAA wrestling at all, is like the Death Star. Oklahoma State had 3 national champions and 8 All-Americans and finished 50 points behind Penn State in the team score, if that's any indication. So,
my God.
Yeah. And a great tournament. They scored 131 team points, which would win most years, but instead they're 50 points behind. So a great tournament overall and a lot of fun for a wrestling school and a blue blood program that I get to follow as my alma mater.
Joel Penfield is our guest. Boy, it had some baseball weather over the weekend, man. Out on Saturday, like, man, it's 90 degrees. What are we doing here on March 21st? What is this all about? And it looks like a week from today is pacing for, like, high 70s, maybe even in the 80s for Monday afternoon, a home opener. So hopefully the weather stays, and that can be awesome next Monday. They get things underway on Friday. 2 games to go. I wanted to start off just real quick as we look at this roster, and then I'll get your thoughts on some players and hopefully what this season can be. But as they wrap up their 26-man roster, it feels like 2 spots for 3 players. Is that what you're looking at? Waters, Lofton, and Massey, depending on Massey's calf injury. Is that what we're looking at? 2 roster spots, 3 players in contention, and that's really it?
It kind of feels that way. I don't know if I necessarily have Drew Waters in there. I think it's probably between some combination of Michael Massey, Nick Lofton, Tyler Tolbert still potentially involved here. Yeah. It just depends on if they want to have Tolbert as like their super utility, can play anywhere, speed guy that they don't really give a lot of plate appearances to. Signing Starling Marte makes the overall roster better and the floor higher, but then it throws a wrench into who else can you add here. And the Massey injury obviously throws a wrench in there as well. It sounds like he's going to be okay, that he's still in Arizona getting some more plate appearances and working through it. They don't seem overly concerned that it will bleed into the season, but obviously we'll know a little more over the next couple of days. The roster has to be finalized on Wednesday, so that's when we'll have a final indication. I thought Nick Lofton had a solid spring. They had him play a bunch of different positions. He got a lot more opportunity to play, and a guy that certainly benefited from a lot of the World Baseball Classic guys not being there. It opened up a chance for him to have 35, 40 plate appearances. I thought he showed the ability to pull the ball in the air a little bit more with some regularity, which was a good sign, helps maximize some of the little bit of the game power profile that he has. He's able to lean into that a little more. I think there's certainly still a place for him on this roster. Lane Thomas, Starling Marte, additionally, I mean, they're already going to be locks potentially. And then, again, it's how do they want to view that final spot? Do they want to have a guy like Lofton and Massey and have a higher offensive profile, or do you want a guy that they covet that ability to go and steal a base late in games? Tyler Tolbert has that ability. So it'll be interesting to see how they round this thing out and what direction they decide to go.
So the reason I went and brought in Waters is just because he's out of options, that they would DFA him and potentially lose him. So I thought maybe they would go with Waters and Massey if the calf is okay, as opposed to Lofton and Massey, or Tolbert or Massey. They seem like, I thought Waters would be the guy that would be released when they signed Marte. But that wasn't the case. They, went a different direction and kept Waters. So based on that, and maybe it shouldn't be only based on that, is the reason I'm like, they clearly continue to like Drew Waters because they didn't move on from him when they signed Marte.
To some degree, sure, and he, again, he got a bit of an extended look because of the lack of the main starters, around the team there for a couple of weeks. But it was a 565 OPS, and he struck out 8 times in 34 plate appearances. Like, we kind of know what he is.
Exactly. Oh, I'm with you.
Yeah, like it's a quad A type guy that is probably going to hang around as organizational depth, whether in Kansas City or somewhere else. But I don't think he had any sort of spring that makes you think, oh yeah, that guy needs to be on the opening day roster. I certainly don't view it that way.
I'm totally in agreement with that, and I think Lofton adds more versatility in the outfield, infield as well, where Waters is just simply an outfielder. Where Lofton, if it's Lofton and Massey, both those guys play both in the dirt and in the grass. It offers that versatility with those guys. And we'll see. It is really a surprise, though, that it's a Massey injury we're talking about. That's just,
I know. If only we don't have a track record of the last 3 years that this is just kind of a thing.
It's totally out of left field.
And it sucks because he was having a great spring, too.
Yeah, right. He was. And I'm with you. They clearly don't think it's that big of a deal because he's playing. He stayed behind in Arizona and playing in the minor league, but he's playing outfield and getting at bats. I think it'd be a little bit different if it was like, oh, let's just DH him, but they're playing him in the field too. So I think this is like, hey, he's going to run, he's going to play the outfield. If he hurts it again, okay, then we have our decision. If it's all good, then we have our decision because I think JJ's already said if Massey's good, he's on the team.
Yeah, and it's not like you're looking at him as your everyday second baseman, at least to begin the season. He's the guy that's going to play second when Jonathan India is out. He's going to play some outfield. They seem to like his ability to play and adapt to playing that corner outfield spot. He got some time in right field as well, so he's opened himself up to being a guy that has some positional versatility and finding a way to stick around in the big leagues as long as he can.
Visiting with Joel Penfield, One Royal Way podcast. The staff is set, and there were no injuries, so that's good. The staff is what we thought it would be as they entered spring training with Reagans and Lugo and Waka and Bubic and Noah Cameron securing that final spot. Bergert gets sent down to AAA for obvious reasons because he could be your 6th or 7th starter, depending on what happens. Like Bailey Falter's still in the bullpen, so he might be the 6th guy if they need to because they're trying to keep him stretched out. But Avila, the guy that in the bullpen last year and pitched well in the World Baseball Classic, is he a guy that they are fully committed, do you think, to he's a starter, and if we need a bullpen piece and somebody with some stuff to bring up, they won't dip down into Omaha and immediately grab him, that they will be a little more disciplined in that we're leaving him as a starter. We think that's his spot. We sent him down to AAA to do that. If he was going to be a bullpen piece, he'd probably be on the big league roster, but we think he's a starter. So let's stay with that and not, and not go backwards in terms of what we think his career can be and look, not miss the forest for the trees, I guess, by just making a decision for a couple of weeks as opposed to leaving him alone in AAA. Is he a guy that he is going to be a starter during the 2026 season?
He's in a really unique position where he has shown, and last year the reason he was in the bullpen to begin with was he had gotten hurt earlier in the year, hadn't fully ramped back up, but they needed an arm because of all the injuries. So they just let him go in the bullpen. That was not them shifting roles entirely. It was just getting him some more innings and experience and getting a little taste of the big leagues. Now they are fully committed to him being a starter to begin this season. That's why he went down to Omaha, because there are innings and there are starts there available to him that there are currently not in the big leagues. They believe he has the upside of, at worst, like a number 3 starter in the big leagues. They're incredibly high on what Luinder Avila can be, the organization, but they also understand they need to win games, and they expect to win games. So he's shown, hey, you can put him in the bullpen and the stuff ticks up, the fastball explodes. We saw that with his time in playing for Team Venezuela when he came out of the bullpen. It had that at bat against Vinny Pasquantino where he threw him a front pitch changeup that I think Vinny is still looking for.
Oh my God, that was amazing. I hate it for Vinny, but I love it for Avila.
Correct. So I think they are able to give him an opportunity to start while also not pigeonholing him into a bullpen role. it kind of they have the best of both, and it's a good problem to have. That Luinder Avila has the opportunity to start, and then he's not just being relegated to a bullpen role. He can kind of be able to do both potentially for this team. I wouldn't be shocked if he does get a spot start here and there in Kansas City, but also I wouldn't be shocked if by August he's at the back end of a bullpen that features Carlos Estevez, Lucas Erceg, and Matt Strahm, and he's handling high-leverage innings for this team because I think the profile really could be that type of player, which is incredibly valuable in the modern game.
Yeah, and that's why I'm wondering if they'll stay committed and disciplined if they need. Like if Alex Lane struggles, and I'll start with this. Do you think Alex Lane is in the bullpen, that he's made the team?
Yes,
okay.
I do, yes.
So if he struggles and comes out and it's like, okay, this is a right-hander, we need another right-hander, let's go and add a little more dynamism to our bullpen, and hey, we're going to go bring up Avila, and he's going to be in our bullpen, as opposed to let's go get somebody else to fill that role because Schreiber, Strahm, Erceg, and Estevez are going to be the main guys that are pitching 7, 8, 9 anyway. So do you want to waste Avila in the 6th inning as opposed to keeping him stretched out as a starter down in AAA? I would guess that would be the case. The question would be, if Erceg were to go on the IL or something like that, now do you get tempted to go and grab Avila?
That would probably be the way that I would view it. I think the move him to the bullpen as a break glass in case of emergency sort of situation, as opposed to he's just next guy up to go into the bullpen, because they truly believe he can be a top of the rotation, at worst mid-rotation guy moving forward. Because after this season, 2027, there's going to be opportunities for him to be in the starting rotation that there are not this year because it was so established.
Visiting with Joel Penfield, One Royal Way podcast. Any concerns with Carlos Estevez and finally reaching 90 mile an hour? Or we believe J.J. Piccolo in that he's a slow starter and he ramps up?
I'm going to go with believing what the organization is seeing and what they have seen from Carlos in the past. J.J. said that when this happened, and last year was a little different because he had a back injury, so the ramp-up was slow naturally because of the injury. There is seemingly no injury this year, and so this is just the way that he operates. He's done this in other seasons with the Rockies and the Angels in the past, so this is just the way it goes. He may be a guy that just needs a little shot of adrenaline in a real game that matters, that maybe the velo spikes. I was encouraged by seeing 90, 91, I think there was a 92 in there as well the other night. I imagine we see him in one of these two games in Texas today and Tuesday. If it's 91, 92, 93, leading in still an exhibition-type format, then hopefully we see some 4s or 5s and potentially more in the weekend and beyond. If we're still seeing 91 to 92 on Friday and then maybe Monday for the home opener, I will have a level of concern for where Carlos Estevez is at.
Joel Penfield, One Royal Way podcast. Okay, let's talk about the guys that are going to be cornerstones of this team, hopefully the next 4, 5, 6 years. Can you remember a player, or is there a player in Royals history that had a bigger ascension to star or potential like star in Major League Baseball than a year ago? Michael Garcia, whatever, was not even starting on opening day, and now he's locked up, long-term extension, life-changing, generational-changing money, MVP of the World Baseball Classic, maybe the best left side of infield in all of baseball, and Garcia being a big part of that. Is there a player that comes to mind that even comes close to in a year where he had already been on the team for a couple of years? Like Whit Merrifield, they just didn't believe in until he forced them to believe in him. Like Garcia was on the team for a couple of years and wasn't even starting on opening day, and now he's got the contract extension, and it does seem like after the World Baseball Classic, people are saying this guy can be a star.
Yeah, and I can tell you who's really not shocked by it is the organization. They believed in Michael since they signed him, that he was just a unique talent. And it also goes to show that progression and development in baseball is not linear. It takes time. And he had showed some flashes and some promise in 23 when he ascended to being the third baseman next to Bobby Witt Jr. and the leadoff hitter. He goes into 24 with some expectation he was going to improve, and he really struggled. He was one of the worst qualified hitters in all of baseball. And last year, not on the opening day roster, but it's a testament to the drive and the ability that he didn't let that affect him. And he forced the Royals' hand. Like, it went from we don't know what his role is going to be to we can't not have this guy in the lineup hitting cleanup for us every single day.
Amazing.
Playing high-level defense, high-level base running, ability to show that he can hit for some power now, hit for average, see some pitches. He is a incredibly toolsy player. I don't think that was ever in question. It was just a matter of him putting it all together. He's done that now, and now he's a national name and not just the third baseman for the Royals. It's not just Bobby and friends. Like, Michael Garcia is in that conversation now as one of the better players in all of Major League Baseball, and he showed that on the world stage. It's not like he was just there for Venezuela. He was one of the reasons why they won the whole tournament. So it's an incredible testament to him. I'm super happy for him, and I think he's in for another big year this year, I believe.
Since he came back to the Royals, he's played in a couple of games, and he has led off both games. Is that his role this year? We've talked about who the leadoff hitter is and the question about the different guys that are in contention for that. Garcia said he wants the job, wants to be the leadoff hitter. Is that an indication? We'll see what the lineup looks like tonight and tomorrow. But is Garcia leading off for this team on Friday?
Yeah, the first game back for everybody from the WBC, I believe, was on Friday against the Giants. And outside of the catcher spot, it was essentially what I believe the starting lineup is going to look like. It's going to be Michael, it's going to be Bobby, Vinny, Salvi, Jack Caglione, Jonathan India, Isaac Collins, and some order 1 through 7.
Mm-hmm.
So I do think that was the guy last year. I think Michael Garcia is going to be the leadoff hitter for this team. I think he's earned that spot, and I think he's clearly a much better player than he was in 2024. I think he knows who he is a little bit more. And being a little more established, I think he's going to be the leadoff hitter.
Yeah. Do you like that? You like going with Garcia as a leadoff hitter, or move down further?
I was a little hesitant of it, but it seems like they're willing to go for it. I thought maybe Isaac Collins would be that guy, but he has had a slow start to spring. I don't think they want to jump in there. I wouldn't be surprised if we see Collins leading off in some instances throughout the year, but Michael, he's led off games last year as well, especially when they faced left-handed pitching. I think he's so comfortable in that spot. It just got untenable toward the end of 2024 because Michael struggled so much. But he didn't have any of those struggles last year, and it seems like they've kind of found the secret sauce maybe with him and Bobby at the top of the order, and that could be, he has the opportunity to be the table setter that this team has needed for years with Bobby's ability to drive in runs.
It's just amazing that Bobby's done what he's done the last 2 years with just almost next to a zero as a leadoff hitter for this team.
You go to a game, and by the time you've sat down with your beer and your hot dog, you got to the ballpark late, it's nobody on, 1 out, Bobby's up.
That's right.
And hopefully we don't see that much this year.
Yeah, that would be nice. And especially, like, you give the guy the contract in the offseason, and he does what he does last year, and he says, I want to be the leadoff hitter. Okay, if he's gone out and earned it and showing that there's a commitment to it, yeah, you know what? I'll defer to a guy who I think is going to be, I'm paying to be a major part of this team moving forward. And if you can have Michael and Bobby, and then, setting the table for Vinny, 100 RBI, 30 home run guy, and Salvi, and we'll see what happens after that in the lineup. But the excitement about how extended the lineup can be, I think, is the difference this year than a year ago, because, I know there's some questions, Joel, and some concerns about the pitching because of the injuries they had last year, and they're only a year older now. But they had the issues last year at pitching, and they still won 82 games. What I'm looking at this year is sort of, do they win a division, or are they hovering around 500? Do they rely on their 2024 runners in scoring position, crazy numbers, and that's how they're scoring, and that comes back to earth a year ago and they don't score? Or is this a team that's scoring without 2 outs and runners in scoring position, being a team that, has crazy numbers from that standpoint? My view is more of the swing, good, bad, division, wild card, missing the playoffs is more on how good the offense is with the non-star players, rather than, hey, I've got some real questions about this pitching staff and the injuries a year ago.
Yeah, I think that one of the biggest keys for this team is going to be how the bottom of the lineup performs. And I don't expect them all to be league average hitters, even on the best teams in the league. Not everyone's hitting, a 100 weighted runs created plus. You're going to have some guys that are below that provide value in other ways. But can they raise their floor a little bit? Can the Jonathan Indias, the Isaac Collins, the Kyle Isbells, the Tyler Tolberts, the particularly like a Josh Rojas or a Nick Lofton, can those guys come through once or twice a week when their name is called upon to turn the lineup back over to the guys that you know are going to produce 1 through 4 in this lineup? And if they're able to do that, they're able to get on in front of those guys, it increases that offensive production quite a bit. I don't expect the pendulum to swing back entirely the other way, where all the runners in scoring position luck that they had in 2024 comes back, but I don't think it's going to stay where it was last year as one of the worst teams in those situations in the league. If it's somewhere in the middle, I think the offense is going to take a leap up. And we saw some time in the second half of the year, some of that runners in scoring position luck did swing back the other way, and the offense was much better as the pitching staff continued to be injured. But I think with the pitching staff, the floor is so high for this team. If the offense is able to take a couple steps forward, we're talking about a team that's going to win 86-plus games again. And I don't know if it necessarily will win them a division, but it's certainly going to put them in contention for a playoff spot.
Okay, so I asked a number of people this question. I think it was probably like 2 or 3 weeks ago now, when spring training was going on. I think it was even before the World Baseball Classic. But I present this scenario to you, Joel, and no other information whatsoever that you have at your fingertips except for these two things. And I want to know what the Royals' record is if these two things happen. Kaggs bats .230, gets on base at .310, slugs .450, .760 OPS, 35 home runs. The fences are in. Carter, .280, .340, .420, .760 OPS. I gave him the same OPS for a reason. So both .760 OPS. Kaggs has 35, runs into a lot of them. Carter with 20. And they both OPS at .760. I give you no more information. If both of those things happen, what's the Royals' record?
I think they can win 90 games if they're both league average hitters, which that would put them at or slightly above league average totally when you're looking at like weighted runs created plus, which is an easier metric to look at the entire league as a whole. I talked about this with Jack Johnson the other day on my podcast, and he said it, and I co-signed the take that if Carter and Jack are league average hitters, and that's just the baseline. It can be, if they're any better, it obviously is huge. But if they're just league average, and you're relying on two essentially rookies to produce for you in the middle third of the lineup, that could be the formula to 90 wins. Yep. Especially, we know what Bobby's going to do. We know what Vinny's going to do. We know Salvy's going to man the post and run into 20-plus homers because it's just what he does. If Michael's able to set the table, it opens up everything. And there isn't right now. It allows for less expectation and pressure to be put on Jack and Carter. And if those guys are able to just produce hitting 7th or 8th in this lineup and run into 30 homers, run into 20, it makes a massive difference for the way that I think we view this team and the way this team is viewed nationally as well. And those guys take the steps forward we believe they can.
Yep, I'm with you. I had them winning 90-plus games if that happens. Last two quick ones for you. Who leads this team in home runs this year?
I'll go with Vinny. I think Vinny could hit 40, nice. Especially with the fences moved in.
Love it. He had 30 last year. Why not? And the final.
And I think he was supposed to, if they moved the fences in this past year, I think he would have had 38 or 40. Nice. So it's in there for sure.
Nice. All right, and final record for this Royals team.
I'll go 86 and 76.
86 and 76. All right. And do they make the playoffs? They in wild card division?
That will give them a wild card spot. Right now I have Detroit ahead. I think the 1-2 punch of Tarek Skubal and Framber Valdez is really, really good. And if their lineup in a couple of spots takes a couple of steps forward, I think they're going to be probably in the 90-win range. But I think the Royals are going to be able to be competitive with them throughout the season, and they'll get a wild card spot and get back to the playoffs.
Awesome. Joel Penfield, One Royal Way podcast, starting our weekly conversations. Joel, appreciate it. Looking forward to next week when we are previewing the home opener for a 3-0 Royals team, getting ready for the first game at Kauffman. Thank you, sir.
Absolutely. Glad to be back with you guys. Talk soon.
Absolutely. There's Joel Penfield. Joel Penfield, One Royal Way podcast. 3-0 Royals next week. That's what I'm saying. Guaranteeing it. Sterling Stamp.
Don't do it.
The Sterling Stamp, 3-0, getting ready for the home opener.
Don't do it.
Take that, Bravos. Joel Penfield, presented by Reed Collision Center when we have him on the show. serving Overland Park, Kansas City, and St. Joe. Get a free photo estimate in minutes at reedcollision.com. That's reedcollision.com. Thank you to Joel Penfield starting our conversation. He's got him 86 and 76. Vinny Pasquantino leading the Royals in home runs. How about that, huh?
Yeah.
We got our ZOUs on Wednesday. Ooh. You guys pumped? You guys excited? We're doing some ZOUs on Wednesday. Who wants to do ZOUs on Wednesday? Who wants to do Z?
I do.
Ah, there it is. I knew it.
I do.
I knew it. More Zone next.
Want to see more of The Zone? Watch the show live on the Sports Radio 810 WHB Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch.
All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you, Sterling Holmes, Michael Darcy heading up until 2 o'clock. We'll talk with Mick Schaefer coming up at 1 o'clock. What do we take away big picture from the weekend that was for Mizzou and Kansas? Bigger picture in how do we assess Mizzou moving forward with Dennis Gates, who I think will be asking for a contract extension. Whether he gets it or not, we'll see. I think he'll probably get it because it's just college athletics these days. 3 out of 4 years making the tournament, Sterling, which I think should, sort of be the bare minimum of getting to the tournament. A 20-win team in the SEC making the tournament, I think that's where you should be anyway at Missouri. Because they've had, a number of years where they've had 5 and 6 consecutive tournament runs where it wasn't are they going to get in? It was beginning of the season. What seed are they going to be?
Sure.
So that's an improvement from where they were when they went the previous 9 years before Dennis Gates, making the tournament only twice. So 3 out of 4 years, he has elevated the program, certainly. What's the takeaway after 4 years? Because I think the question becomes, is Dennis Gates the right guy? Which will be a question we can have and a conversation we can have throughout this season and maybe even the next season, because next year will be a massive year for him because he has his best recruiting class coming in. He has 2 McDonald's All-Americans. He has one of the best scorers in America in Jason Crow coming in. Can you retain some players on your team like a Trent Pierce and maybe a Trent Burns, Randall, maybe T.O. or Ant Robinson or whoever it might be, along with Chronister, who's one of the better shooting guards in America, coming in as a 6'8 shooter on the wing. You could have a 6'10 Trent Pierce and a 6'8 Chronister. That'll be shooters on the wing, along with, a pure scorer in Crow and a Mark Mitchell diet in Tony Bryant, something like that. Next year is a pretty crucial year. The issue, Sterling, is I think Dennis Gates is going to want a contract extension. So if you extend him this offseason, you're not just saying next year's a crucial year. You're saying this is the guy for us. And I think the assessment for the athletic department should be, who's the guy to take us through March, not just get us to the tournament. That should be the bare minimum.
I just think for me, I still think the program is trending in the correct direction. I know some people will push back and say, well, how? They were a 10 seed this year and all the. I mean, I do think the recruiting class matters a lot. Now, a lot of it is, hey, you got to actually get it done. You can recruit, and they might be bums. I don't think they're going to be, but, I mean, how many times have we seen great recruits do absolutely nothing? I mean, that's college sports.
It happens, but, like, high level, like top 5 recruits, I don't know how often they get in there and they're just not good.
Correct. And so, for me, I think he's building this the right way. He's going to try and keep some of these guys around. I mean, the way he's talked about T.O. and Ant and
especially Trent Pierce.
Trent Pierce has been like the guy he's talked about putting a lot more on his plate next year.
And I think he's doing that for a reason.
To try and let him know, hey, we still want you
he's
here.
He's going to be coveted. There are going to be people that look at Trent Pierce as a 6'10 pure shooter that shoots 40% and say, we're going to give that guy 7 figures.
And so, to me, I'm not saying you extend him for 4 or 5 years, but you find a middle ground somewhere. I don't know, because I don't know how much Dennis Gates is coveted on the open market. It's like, KU's not going after him. UNC's not going after him. I mean,
it's not Jerome Tang. Like, Arkansas is not coming and calling for Dennis Gates to where Kansas State's going, well, we got to make a decision. Do we give him an extension where we're sort of contractually connected to him for a while?
Sure.
But we don't want him to leave? It's not going to be an interview or another team trying to hire Dennis Gates
and
away.
That's my point is, yeah, he might not like it, but it's a great spot for Missouri to be in of there's not really a lot of schools in your realm, if you will, or even slightly above, but even in your realm that are going to be going after Dennis Gates. So you don't have to worry about that. Mm-hmm. Good or bad, that means it's not done his job to an extent because he's not getting looked at by a lot of those schools, but it also means you're probably not overpaying for him. Missouri probably overpaid a little for Eli.
Yeah.
And we'll see if he pays out. I've liked Eli, and I'm glad they did because overall I like where Missouri's football program is at as well. Again, has it been excellent? No, but they've been there. They've been close. If the 12-team playoff would have opened up the year prior, Missouri makes one, and we're not even having this conversation because they would have at least made one, right? But they didn't, and that's the most Missouri thing.
The Missouri story.
And so
the difference being, though, Eli was being coveted by other schools.
Correct. And so I was more or less okay with that being the case. Dennis won't be, and you have to find the happy medium because I do think The people that want Dennis fired, again, you can fan how you want to fan. I'm not going to tell you what to do. My personal preference is Missouri. And again, as an alum, fan my entire life, I think we can be harsh but also be realistic. They're not, well, I was going to say Indiana, but they're not that anymore either. They're not UNC. They're not Duke. They're not Kansas. But can you get to the Arkansas-ish type of realm? Alabama had a nice turnaround, and they're still doing that turnaround. Eventually, Iowa State, can you turn more into a consistent, every year it's not are you making the tournament, it's what's your seed. I still think Dennis Gates can be that guy. Because right now it does look like year 2 was a complete outlier for him.
Yes, I agree with that. Year 2 was clearly an outlier. And in his defense, in year 2, they had all of those injuries.
You still would like to go, let's say 4 get 3 wins in SEC play or 4 wins. Point still remains. I believe in Dennis. I think he's the right guy still for the job. I think people in today's day and age, especially with NIL, they panic and they go, well, if you don't win right now, we want you gone. Hell, we see KU fans do that right now, which I think is absurd. End of the day, I still have faith in Dennis. Give me one more year, and then this upcoming season is the real evaluation year. I didn't think he was really on the hot seat that much, even if they would have missed. You couldn't have a disaster this year, but I thought if you would have been a bubble-ish team, that was expectations, I think, heading into this season. Are expectations too low? Maybe, but that's where I think they're currently at right now after the previous coaching that had gone on in Columbia.
How would you feel about the comparison of saying that Dennis Gates is very similar to Lance Leipold? Both have brought in their programs out from the pit of despair, but you're at a point in both fan bases where there is frustration that they haven't hit that next level. And you're grateful for what the coach has done to elevate the program, but you also see past it knowing that this might be the ceiling. Both coaches say dumb things. So they're both in that category as well.
I will say this, that's a good comp. I think Lance started to take a little step back, potentially. I also think that the recruiting class of Missouri is starting to get a lot better. And Kansas wasn't necessarily getting those guys. I know football, basketball, a little different, but
that's why 2027 is going to be a massive year for Gates.
Correct.
If they don't hit, he's gone.
Yeah, if they don't hit,
unless he gets a contract extension to where it's a $16-17 million buyout, like
you just can't do it.
It's got to be
no teams,
disastrous.
no schools going after and offering Dennis that. Who's offering Dennis that?
I don't know what the latest one is, but when he signed his contract extension, I think after the 25 season, it would have been $16 million. Not that you were going to fire him last year. So I don't know what the update would be, because honestly, I haven't looked for it. Yeah. Because we aren't talking about, firing him because we're not talking about it being, to the level of, okay, you got to move on. Like we were talking about it with Jerome Tang this last year. So I don't think it's that. But I don't see why Missouri can't be Iowa State. Like, that's not asking for much. I mean, you're talking about 2 programs that, okay, Iowa State's been to a Final Four in 1940-something? So, yes, Missouri's never been to one. But if we're talking about, tournament expansion and today's tournament, you're talking about none. And Otzelberger has been really good at Iowa State and has turned them into a contender that's there and a steady presence. There isn't anything that Iowa State showed historically in the 80s and 90s and early 2000s from what Missouri did to, Missouri was more successful than Iowa State through the, 80s, 90s, early 2000s than Iowa State. And then they got Hoiberg, and they were good. And now they've got Otzelberger, and they're even better. But there's no reason if you do it there, you can't do it in Columbia. Like, this is not Otzelberger and Iowa State, it's different. It's Iowa State, guys. Yeah, it's a good program. But historically, they aren't sitting there looking down at Mizzou from a program perspective.
I don't even know. Gates' contract through 28-29 season. Missouri doesn't have to do anything.
Oh, but they're going. He's going to ask for an extension, though. It's been like 2 years since he got extended.
Sure.
He's going to ask. I know he's going to ask for one. And that's what I'm saying, where the athletic department has to make a choice. You look at Dennis Gates in the eye and say, we're not going to give you a contract extension. You're under contract. Next year we can address this.
Yes.
And if Dennis
Where's
Gates,
he going?
Right, but here's the thing. if Dennis Gates goes out and has an amazing season with this recruiting class,
sure,
and then he's a top 3 seed,
that price went up,
and somebody comes calling, he's looking at Missouri and going, hey, remember when you didn't want to extend my contract? Yeah, I'm taking this job over here. Because you didn't believe in me, they believe in me. Now I can offer and say, well, they didn't believe in you last year.
Yeah.
They weren't hiring you last year. They're only hiring you now. They believe in you now because of what you've done this year. Correct. They believe in you from that perspective. We stayed with you. We didn't fire you. We didn't give you an extension, but we didn't fire you. We didn't give you an ultimatum. Be amazing in the 27 tournament. Yes.
He gets a $100,000 raise every year.
Yeah.
So it's I don't know. I don't think any team's calling for him. I'm team. You let this ride. I like it.
I absolutely would let it ride. I would not give him a contract extension. I'm with you. But that doesn't seem to be how
the nature of the game, which is the dumbest thing that all schools have agreed upon. All schools have basically agreed upon we are going to be dumbasses. All the ADs came together and said, hey, we're going to get we have no power. It's all up to the coaches now in every sport, or basketball and football especially. But like, I don't get how we got here. Yeah. How all the ADs decided to say, hey, we're going to let all the coaches have all the control and we have no power. I have no idea how all the ADs of every school came together and agreed upon that.
Oh, I'm with you on that. So we'll see. The mistake would be you give them the extension and you increase the buyout.
You drum tang it. That's
yeah. You increase the buyout to where if everything falls apart this next year, even with the guys he has coming in and they don't make the tournament for some reason, like you can't be looking at it and going, well, we'd like to move on from Dennis Gates, but we gave him that extension last year and now we owe him $16 million buyout.
You can't be K-State. You can't be K-State. You can't do that. You can't get stuck in that situation of, well, we'll see how he does in the portal. Well, he got, Coleman Hawkins. All right, we gave him a lot of money, but let's give him one more chance. He gets P.J. Haggerty. Great player! But he can't put a team together.
Yep.
Right? You can't put a team together. That was Jerome's problem. He couldn't put a team together.
Yep.
Missouri, though, again, they haven't. The last 2 years have been fine. That's been the expectation, right? The past 2 years have been at expectations.
I think the expectation should be higher next year.
Oh, agreed.
Make the tournament.
No, 100%. But at expectations, realistically, they probably should have beat Drake. Yes.
Well, they were a 6th seed.
So yes, but as far as the actual regular season, those were expectations. They were met. They weren't exceeded. They weren't under. But if you said a 6 seed and a 10 seed, and what was it his first year? 7?
Yeah, they were a 7 seed and they beat Utah State, the 10 seed, and then lost to the 15. So he's got one tournament win over a 10, and he's got losses to 10, 11, and 15.
Yeah, not great.
All by double digits, by the way.
Yeah, but some of that's when you're fouling. I mean, let's be real. That Miami game was close. I know, but you can call a spade a spade.
Yes, a spade is losing by double digits. My expectation for Missouri is not just to make the tournament. Sorry.
Agreed. I'm not saying that they shouldn't, but I'm also saying that what game was that yesterday? That who was it that lost by 10 or something like that, and it was a 1-point game like the whole game.
I don't know.
Oh, was it not Arizona, Iowa State, or Utah State? That was closer. I'm trying to think of what game it was.
I don't know.
Purdue, Miami.
It wasn't Alabama, Texas Tech. I know that.
No.
Purdue, Miami.
Yeah.
Ended up being a 10-point game. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Miami lost by 10 to Purdue.
And again, that's one where it was a 2-point game the whole time.
Right. And if that was the case with Princeton losing by 15, I think that'd be a little bit different. If that was the case with Miami when they, let go of the rope with 5 minutes left, because that's what they did. They got the lead. Miami took the lead back, hit a couple threes, went up by 8, and it was like, well, we tried.
No, but I know. But I guess for me, then, what should he have done? What's the number that would have made you
win at least a game?
No, okay. And he's won one, but the last 2 years, yes, he should have won at least a game.
He's got one win in 4 years in the tournament. He's got 4 wins in March.
I'm with you.
He doesn't win in Nashville either. Like, he doesn't go to the SEC tournament and win. He doesn't go to the NCAA tournament.
But he's at least been consistently getting. It's
consistently just meeting minimum expectation in my mind.
Sure. And my thing is, you don't fire him for just that. He's B's get degrees, right? C's get degrees. But like he's been fine. You don't want to get into a situation where you fire someone for being fine and you bring in someone who's buns. You don't want to get into a situation where again, Jerome Tang is an anti-Dennis Gates. Jerome Tang saw high highs and then low lows. Again, I'm almost throwing out his second year because the other 3 years we've seen him be good enough.
Yeah.
So do you think he's building this the correct way, or do you want to have a guy like Jerome that can maybe you're an Elite Eight, not really his roster, and then all of a sudden he's just been atrocious ever since then?
Yeah. So if all you're going to get every year is this, just make the tournament and maybe you'll win a game, then yeah, time to move on.
Sure.
Because I don't think that should be the expectation.
I think 4 years is too short for that.
In today's college basketball, it's kind of hard to say 4 years is too short. I mean, Ben McCollum's going to the tournament back-to-back years, year one. That's the other thing.
Sure.
Is Dennis Gates has lost back-to-back years to a coach at his first year at that program.
No, I'm not arguing. Jay Lucas turned it around, yes.
First year at Drake for Ben McCollum, he lost. First year at Miami, Jay Lucas, he lost. He's in year 3 and 4, and he's losing 2 coaches in first years that have won games. And so it's not the college basketball of old to where you go, well, give them 4 or 5 years, give them a couple recruiting cycles. Like you've got money. Like they're spending money at Mizzou on, and this recruiting class this year is a big one. And that's why I say this year is going to go a long way for Dennis Gates. I wouldn't extend him. But if this year is another tournament and you lose the first round, yeah, I need to figure out what I'm doing because that's not good enough. Because here's the thing. If that's what you continue to accept, then that's what you think your expectations are. That's the level you think your program is.
Sure.
And I know they've never made a Final Four, but I think the expectation should be higher than just finding a way into the tournament and then losing in the first round. That should be the minimum. Making the tournament, I'm sorry, should be the minimum, especially when they're going to start expanding the damn thing.
Well, yeah, of course.
But making the tournament should be the minimum. Winning a game or 2, making a second weekend, that needs to happen for Mizzou. And if you fire Dennis Gates and you get somebody that sucks, and in 3 years you're going, well, that was bad, now we need to find somebody else, then that's a risk worth taking to me because you need to find the guy that's going to get you there. And if you don't think Dennis Gates is ever going to get you there, then hey, making the tournament every year, cool. We're okay with being C students. But these other programs have passed you up. And they've gone and hired these guys, and they are better now. They've got better coaches now. Iowa State, both teams in Iowa have passed you up.
Sure. And
they stayed with Fran McCaffrey for so long. Couldn't get to the second weekend. It's just good enough. Then they go and get Ben McCollum. Now they're in the Sweet 16. What if Ben McCollum would have fallen on his face and just terrible for 3 years? Well, where you continue to accept what you had and just simply that's who you were, you just existed as sort of fodder and chum for teams to fill out the bracket with, or somebody that's going to make a difference and get your team in position. Because it's like, hey, the more you knock on the door to make a Final Four, the better chance you have of getting there.
Of course.
Problem is they're not knocking on the door.
No.
They're knocking on the door of the round of 32.
No, but again, I think it's still a moot point because I think we all agree that this upcoming season is the real year, the real test.
I agree. Yeah.
Again, you and I are somewhat in agreement.
Yeah.
Just
we're 3% in disagreement, maybe.
Yeah,
that's the case.
It's different sides of the same coin. Where it's the same coin, we just kind of just disagree about how it's to this point. And again, my point is, I think we've seen Dennis at least grow a little as a coach. I still believe, as of this past season, and with the recruiting class coming up, I'm not even close to saying it's fired Dennis. Now, if this year they fall on their face, I will have a conversation of, okay, correct, I don't care. Again, it's always okay, if you fire him, then who? Right? I think the past couple of years there have been guys. There have been names.
Mm-hmm.
There's not really some names this upcoming, coaching cycle that you're like, I'm thrilled by this dude.
I agree.
Utah State may be the only guy, and I don't know, he may have even got, I don't know what happened to the Utah State coach.
Yeah, I mean, they passed up on opportunities that were the obvious names that were there.
Correct.
And
there's not the obvious name this time around.
We'll see. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. More Zone next.
Starting Wednesday, regular season baseball is back. And this baseball season, FanDuel is letting you choose your own reward for opening week. It's like choose your own adventure, only better. Because, come on, we're not reading right now. We're having fun. Betting customizations that transform how you experience the game. Make your choice, and the reward will be ready to use on your next MLB bet. And let's be real, FanDuel is the home of home runs. This year, I've talked about it, rolling with the Royals a ton. We've heard Vinny, maybe Jack bounces back and has a nice season, but give me Salvi. I keep talking about the underlying metrics of last year. I still think he's got a lot of pop left in this bat. And by the way, with the fences at the K coming in, I think he's actually the biggest benefactor of that. So for home runs, I'll be rolling with Salvi a lot this season on FanDuel. So if you're ready to play your game, head to FanDuel.com/local to choose your reward for MLB's opening week.
21 plus and present in Missouri. Bonus bets are non-withdrawable and expire 7 days after receipt. Tokens are received in increments of 1 per day. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
All right, wrapping up this Alper? I blame Sterling.
I blame me. I pontificated a while on the.
He's been
Mizzou
pontificating.
stuff.
He's pontificating.
I was pontificating.
I was trying to punt it.
Pontificus.
Pontificus. You know what? On the other side, we will play the sound bites that we lost on Friday. So we've got 16 sound bites. That's like a whole region, you know? Like when we release a region, those are 16 sound. We got 16 to eliminate from the bracket of sound from Friday. Tomorrow and Wednesday, we will knock out the teams that lost in the round of 32. As we get ready for the Sweet 16.
Not very sweet.
No, depending on who you're a fan of. A little 16 fan bases think it's sweet.
Twitter thinks he's funny.
Shame on you nerds.
His wife and kids think he's lame.
No!
We couldn't get Paul, so we're stuck with Mick.
Yep. Okay, still got it going on.
Mick Schaefer on The Zone with Jason Anderson.
Hold your ears, folks. It's showtime.
All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB, hanging out with Mick Schaefer, presented by Advent Health Sports Park at Blue Hawk. Mick, fresh back from St. Louis. How are you, sir?
I'm back. I'm not fresh.
Oh, okay.
That's for sure.
Freshly back from St.
My
Louis.
Might get fresh if you keep pushing me with my wit, my words. Okay, I'll get fresh with you. Yeah,
no,
watch
I
out.
don't want you to get fresh with me.
Oh, my
like a Bel Air? Or are you going to get fresh
yes.
with me?
Is this Will Smith in here?
Yes.
Or you Jazzy Jeff?
Jazzy Jeff.
He's DJ.
That's it.
He's a DJ, Jazzy Jeff. He's the one that gets...
St. Louis. Don't go. Don't go.
What was the best part? Leaving?
I had a good time there. I can have a good time anywhere, but it was those were long days because I was there for my daughter's volleyball tournament, and then Mizzou had to go and make me work for a couple days. They did not make me work, sadly, for 4 days.
Yeah. Or good for you. I don't know. It's.
I mean, in the
whatever.
end, yes, I'm a selfish human being, and I liked having a little bit of time on Saturday and Sunday, but of course pulling for Mizzou that entire time Friday night.
Yeah. What was it? You were in the arena. What was it like, Missouri, having to play against that crowd, and fall behind like they did and try to fight back, playing the team and the crowd?
There were like, I don't know, 20 Purdue fans still there sitting on their hands. It was funny because I don't know if they took any wide shots they took. In the lower bowl, there was a smattering of empty seats, which I attributed to other schools' fans, Queens, Purdue, maybe some earlier Iowa State, Kentucky fans who had those seats and just weren't there. But the third level there, packed to the gills, not one open seat, and it was all black and gold.
Yeah, that's the get-in price. That's the
get in the door. We're getting in the door.
We're just going. We're going to be there, and it's going to be fun.
And so it was. I mean, it was a great environment. I thought a big home court advantage, a lot of fans there. They were loud, but it is harder. I think I heard Self talk about and other coaches. It's harder to have an impact in an 18 to 20,000 seat arena than it is at your home arena because all those seats. I mean, it's just in Lobo, they go straight back, right? You're not like a lot of these colleges. I mean, you're right on top of the court, and you're able to the sound and everything.
So that's why Missouri lost.
That was it. Yep. Bigger arena.
They're so used to the Hearn Center being right on top of
That's right,
Gallagher-Iba that having a regular NBA type arena, they couldn't adjust to that.
No, they lost because Mark Mitchell did not play as aggressive and physical and aggressive again as he had been, and then shots didn't go down. And Miami, I mean, a lot of spacing, good offense, a lot of movement. I feel like Mizzou's more kind of a set. They run a lot of sets.
They do keep their feet set on offense.
I thought Henderson was the best player on the court. I mean, he couldn't make layups, but he affected so much.
Him and Donaldson, dude. Donaldson was. I was just anytime he shot, I'm like, that's in.
Yeah.
I don't care what he's doing. It could be over his dome. Like it could be a hook shot from three. And I'm like,
for free throws in the first half, they weren't making those.
True.
But good thing Missouri took advantage.
Yeah,
of
I was
it,
like, they need to. Like, can you go outside and shoot from the top of the key a free throw? Because they would have a better percentage.
They would,
like
man.
4 for 12 at one point.
It's like they gave Missouri had the home crowd. They had Jaden Stone having a big game. Sean
Miami
Phillips wasn't
making
in foul
shots.
trouble.
Yeah.
They missed free throws and threes. Did Miami, and you still lost by 14 and found yourself down by 10 in the second half. Like or 10 in the first half is when they were losing by. And it's just
but hustle points too, right? Offensive rebounds and second chance, and that's I thought that was the biggest difference.
And that's what's sort of annoying to me is that that's one of the things Miami's known for. Like they are one of the best offensive rebounding teams in America, and second chance points. So you go into that game saying, if they get offensive rebounds and second chance points, that's how they can win the game. Mm-hmm. So no matter what, we are going to attack the defensive rebounds with all 5 guys. There's no outlet. There's none of that. We are just going to attack the defensive rebound. Everybody's coming in here to rebound. Watch the tip outs. Those are the things you have to prepare for. You got all week to prepare for a Friday game, not a Thursday game, a Friday game against a team that their main thing is offensive rebounds, and yet you start the game and you can't grab a defensive board. And they just keep getting offensive rebounds and second and third shots and open threes off an offensive board. And it's like, this is exactly what you knew they were going to do, yet you're still not able to do that. Like, that's either execution or coaching.
19-2 and second chance points. They also led in third chance and fourth and fifth chance points too. There are a couple possessions where like I don't think Mizzou's not going to get the ball back here unless Miami makes it.
They're going to get the ball back when they take it out of the basket and they throw it in from underneath the basket and start their possession. That's when they will get the ball back. Yeah, it's an oddly disappointing, yet not surprising, yet sort of just moving on sort of game for Mizzou. Disappointing in that they finished the season, the last 4 games that they did. Not surprising because that's how they played the final 3 games before that Miami game. And you sort of just move on because I didn't think they really had a run in them, based on how they ended the season. So it's an disappointing, frustrating,
it's
yet
a similar
expected
feeling for KU fans too. The way they ended the season, and look, they're the 4 seed. They're probably going to win that first game, but like I think KU fans and a lot of us around here were like, I like St. John's better. If they want to be, okay, that's nice. Same with Mizzou. Had they want to, like, okay, nice win. It's a team you could beat. You beat them, okay, let's see what happens against Purdue. But for both, it just kind of ended with a thud.
Yeah, it was a rough one for both of those teams. Shall we play some of these sound bites from Friday that got eliminated? Mike, we good to go with that? Let's start with the Midwest, which is also the Tickle Your Tonsils region.
So how many? Let's see. We're doing the whole Midwest here.
Well, there were only 2 games that played in the Midwest on Thursday.
But we're going to do a total of 16 because it's from Friday.
We'll try to get 16. If we only get 8 or 9 or 10, whatever, we'll see because we still got Learn Funniest Best that we're going to get into. So let's go to the Midwest, and it is the Tickle Your Tonsils region, and only the 116 and the 8-9 played on Thursday. We eliminated those on Friday. So let's go down to this 5-12 matchup, and the 5-12 matchup, Texas Tech and Akron. Akron lost on Friday, and so Akron loses. You good? I just want to make sure that, Michael, we're good to go on that one. The 5-12 Midwest.
I was in the Ryan got tased region. Now I'm in the Tickle Your Tonsils bracket.
There we go. Yeah, we need to tickle tonsils here. Midwest, Tickle Your Tonsils, 5-12. Texas Tech and Akron. Texas Tech won. Akron, the 12 seed, is out, and so is this sound.
Our participant got through 7 hot dogs. He asked us, can he do 2 more beers instead? We said that's okay because he was in pain. And so he did the 7-Eleven challenge.
I had a buddy of mine, he did the 7-Eleven challenge, ended up in jail overnight.
Robbed them at gunpoint. I was
just offering the wrong person a ride, that's all.
Okay.
That'd be nice. Just offered you a ride. You can get anything you want at 7-Eleven.
I do like a Slurpee. You know, when
that's what he was looking for. Again, that's not what I'm drinking. You have it. I have it. And it's, it's theater of the mind.
Yeah.
And then here comes the bull in the China shop.
Yeah.
I hate nuance.
What you can get at a 7-Eleven. All right, the 4-13 matchup, Alabama and Hofstra. Hofstra, the 13 seed, lost, and we lost this sound.
If Sherm wants to act like he's Lebo, and I'll be Rasheed Rice. But
all right, let's do that.
No,
just for a few seconds. You're Rasheed Rice. You're your locker. You're Todd Lebo, Sports Radio 810. Come on, ask him something.
What happened on the play that you dropped the ball?
Man, shut your bald ass up, man. I ain't talking to your stupid ass.
So that's how you'd answer it.
That's what I would do if I'm him.
You're going to get personal there, didn't
I know,
you?
right?
I know.
That was ridiculous.
Poor
Gosh,
Lebo.
I don't think Rasheed Rice would answer it that way. But we don't know how he would answer it.
Yeah, he just wouldn't be there.
Left the locker room. Number 6, Tennessee, played the Ohio-Miami team. And 6, the Tennessee Volunteers ended up winning. The 11 seed Miami is out, and we lost this sound, Miami.
I've rededicated myself, and I'm coming here with a full tank. Jake topped me off in the...
What the hell's going on here?
Hold on. No.
Lost a lot of Border Patrol.
I know.
A lot of
I know.
New Day sound, I guess.
A lot of nuance, too, huh?
Yes. It's crazy how, like, you go through the rankings and then you put them with teams, and then they end up with teams, and then, hey, all of those teams ended up losing, so then we're just playing those clips one right after another. Virginia and Wright State. Again, hey, we're going to go right back to the somehow.
We're going to go Wright State back to it.
The tickle your tonsils ended up being the New Day region, apparently, at least for the lower seeded teams. The 14 seed Wright State, they lost, and that means we lost this sound.
Max Scherzer's a psycho, and I love it.
Psycho, yeah.
Try taking him out of the game.
I'm just rooting for America. Which eye would you look at if you had to walk up to him?
I don't know.
Look him right in that forehead.
They're different
right
colors.
Above.
The brown one.
Wow.
Yeah, this is the lack of nuance. So not this is the no subtle. There's no subtlety whatsoever.
I like it.
Just should get up one day and actually listen to those.
Bull in the
wake up early.
China shop there. Let's see if there are any other New Day ones we can play here. Let's see the 7 versus 10 Kentucky and Santa Clara. Kentucky wins in overtime. Santa Clara's out. That means we lost this sound.
Both really good players. Both have packages. We're not going to wet the balls.
There we go.
Wow.
That is gone, Santa Clara. And the number 2 seed Iowa State beat Tennessee State. Tennessee State is out, and so is this sound.
And I want to see him go pants somebody.
Yeah.
Make the other team's defensive coordinator say, "Can I put my pants on first?" Yes.
There you go. That's
go pants someone.
Tennessee State is out. Let's go ahead and head over to the South region, Michael. That's the Sterling's Trips with the Boys Being Dudes region.
Fun region.
There were only 2 games that were left to be played in this one. We had the other 6 games that were played that we released on Friday. 2 games left to be played, and it was the 1-16 and the 8 versus 9. The 1 seed Florida knocked off the 16 seed Prairie View A&M, and Prairie View A&M eliminated, and so is this sound.
Look, I've been doing radio with you for a long time, and I respect you. That might be one of the worst questions you've ever asked.
Awesome. Thanks, man. Cool. Great. Nailed it.
Love that.
Killed it.
Was that Lesky? Who was
No, that was Braden Gall.
Braden Gall.
Nobody cares.
Yeah.
Yep, 8-9, Iowa and Clemson. I really like the winner of this one to come out and beat Florida. Really, I don't know what's going to happen, but I really like the winner of Iowa or Clemson to come out and beat Florida. We'll see what happens. But Iowa won that one. The 8 seed Clemson went down, and so did this sound.
Is there Jacksonville cuisine? I got to figure this out. I don't think there's.
Let me tell you something.
Yeah, it's called Hooters.
Jake, I would say Jake is dominating the bracket, but he keeps losing.
Not deserve
These teams keep losing.
He's
though.
strong. Misseeded. My God.
Oh man, that's a rough one. That was the 8 seed Clemson is out. Let's stay over on that side of the bracket and go to the East. We head to the East region, and that is the Ryan just got tased region. Let's start with the 5-12 matchup in the Ryan got tased region in the East. We've got the St. John's Johnnies and Northern Iowans, and then Kansas and Cal Baptists. Let's go 5-12 here. The Johnnies won, Northern Iowa out. We lost this sound.
If it's gaping, and I'm even open to a different style of run offense, is going to be more efficient. I heard it. Kyle's so happy over there, just giggling away.
What a child.
You got to be able to hit the hole. That's what I'm talking about. If you're a running back, okay?
Yep.
Talking about football here.
Important.
Grow up over there. There's like nowhere to go now. I gotta. Let's talk linebackers.
I tried to hide it too.
Well, you tried to hide it this big. You brought your hand like 3 feet in the air before you went down and hit the button.
Good job, Kyle.
Nice job, Kyle. That one's out. The 4-13 matchup, Kansas knocked off Cal Baptist. That means there was a lot of New Day in this play. A lot of New Day played on Friday. I'm looking through here. My God.
Now it's Old Day because we're not playing anymore.
There were a lot of We didn't have many New Days that we played from the losses on Thursday, but wow, a lot of New Day on Friday. Here's Kansas, Cal Baptist. Cal Baptist lost, and so did this sound.
Yeah. Hydromatic. Why, it's grease lightning! Get some overhead lifters and 4-barrel quads, oh yeah. Keep talking, oh, keep talking. The fuel injection cut off and gold painted rods, oh yeah. Who'll get the money? Who's gonna get the money? With 4-speed on the 4, they'll be waiting at the door. You know that ain't no we'll be getting lots of grease lightning.
If I can't
you
say
know
it.
The words. I didn't say it.
If I can't say it, then
I thought you might have had the added version.
I should. I thought it was.
He can't get away from curse words in this hour.
Potty mouth.
You try. You did it to yourself that time.
What'd they even say?
Yeah.
Jeez. Can't help himself. All right. Boy, there's a lot of New Day that was lower seeded. 7-10 matchup. The 7 UCLA, the 10 UCF. UCF lost, and so did this sound.
We have Todd Lebo on the line. He was indisposed, like I said.
What do you mean, like
Bathroom.
you said? Like, what was,
He was
was
in
he
the bathroom. Could have been.
I was in the shower.
Oh, were you? Good. About time you clean yourself up.
Yeah,
there,
really.
boy.
You clean the undercarriage?
Got it all.
Okay.
Clean as a whistle.
Hello.
There you go. Let's move over to the West, the Blow for Bane region. The Blowing for Bane, the 116 matchup. It was Arizona taking on Long Island, the battle of iced teas or just teas. The 16 seed lost, and so did this sound.
It is amazing the count you'll see, and you're like, who is this schmuck? 380,000 followers?
Yeah,
what?
They're doing something.
1.6 million?
You know?
For showing pictures of bread?
Twitter. You never know what's going to happen. Villanova, Utah State, the 8-9 matchup. Utah State won, so that means the 8 seed Villanova eliminated, and we lost this sound.
Getting them in your dimensions, your feel, your weight, your length, your color, your knob, whether it's small, curve, whatever it may be.
What are you talking about, Mick?
Bats, baseball bats. We know that's what he's. Torpedo bats.
He was nervous
Torpedo
because Mick
bats.
was going to say.
I know what Mick was
wieners.
going to say. Yeah, torpedo bats. I think. Let's move down to the 7-10 matchup. Unfortunately, I believe Miami won on Friday night in the West region. That means Missouri lost. That means we lost the sound.
And then Cole Reagan's, I want to see him pitch and be healthy. You don't want to be thinking about a groin all summer long. You don't want a groin hanging over your head. Months of June and July.
Nope.
I don't know what you do. Maybe you do. Maybe you're sitting there thinking, you know what, this summer, I'd like to have a groin hanging over my head. Well, then go ahead.
I guess it all would depend on whose groin's hanging over my head.
Cole Reagan's.
No, we don't want that hanging over our head.
I'm talking about one very specific groin here.
Okay. No.
But I
Get that out of the
don't
way.
like to speak for other people. So.
Yeah, there's probably people out there who want Colt Reagan's groin hanging over their head.
Probably. I don't know.
It is. It's crazy the amount of lower seeded New Day teams that played on Friday.
Committee.
I think
did not respect that conference.
I think every New Day clip that was the lower seed may have played on Friday.
That's incredible.
Looking at it. All right, let's take a timeout. Learn Funniest Best next. All right, we'll continue on this Monday edition of The Zone. Coming up later on this week, the Royals in action. It is in baseball. Royals play this week.
A real game.
A real, actual game.
In Hotlanta.
In Hotlanta, in the ATL.
That's wild, by the way.
I know, right? And a week from today, they'll be playing at Kaufman.
Let's go.
The Fences brought in Kaufman. All right, let's get to. I know, right? So much
less room.
I mean, so much less room for activities. You should have never let us do bunk beds. It's so stupid. No power tools, guys. What I learned from the weekend, what we found the funniest from the weekend, and what we thought was the best from the weekend. We go around the room. What I learned is, in the last 20 NCAA tournaments, the top 16 seeds have gone to the second round, all of them in one tournament. In the last 20 years, the top 16 seeds have gone to the second round only 3 times in the last 20 tournaments. So 1, 2, 3, 4 in each region winning. In the last 20 tournaments, it's only happened 3 times. 2 of them are 25 and 26.
Yeah.
2 of them are the last 2 years.
I think my son said yesterday if you added all the Elite 8 seeds, the lowest you get is 12. The lowest they've ever gotten was last year at 13, right? It was 13.
Yeah, because 9 and 3 would be 12 in the South. And then 11 and, well, I guess it would be 15 because Texas and Arkansas.
This is last year, I'm saying.
I'm sorry, my bad.
Last year.
Yeah, so Texas and Arkansas could be 15 because Arkansas is a 4 and Texas is 11. So that would be 15, but that's, yeah. You got 1, 2, 3, 5, 1, 2, 4, 6, 1, 2, 4, 11, and then 2, 3, 4, 9. With Iowa's win. That's what I learned. Back-to-back years, the Cinderellas, now the Iowas and the Texas of the world. Those are the Cinderellas, not necessarily the high points. What'd you learn there, Sterling?
Yeah, I learned that I'm never going to learn. I learned that I'm always going to, whenever it comes around and Missouri plays a game, I'm going to blindly believe with no reason to ever believe because they've never really given me a reason to.
No.
But I'll be confident and I'll throw my Mizzou stuff on and I'm going to say, they're going to do it this time. They won't do it this time. They never do it this time because they never have done it that time. But I'm going to believe. And when I'm 85 and they finally win a game, I can go out on top having a heart attack, being excited.
Yep.
Can't wait for that. Yeah. And I guess also suits over pullovers because
11 and 8 or something like that.
Yeah.
Oh,
suits,
really?
Yeah.
Somebody's keeping track of the suits and pullover coaches?
Yeah, so suits, they matter, except for Dennis Gates, apparently.
Does Jay Lucas wear a suit or does he wear a pullover?
I think he wore a pullover. They both. Yeah.
So
that one actually hurt.
He's a tiny human, by the way.
All of the suits won except for the Missouri.
Not all. It was 11 and 8.
I don't care.
But would have been.
It sounds better. Yes. It was all of them.
Wear a suit.
Yes. So the local teams, the suits were 1 and 1.
1 and 1.
Okay, there you go. Mick, what'd you learn from the weekend?
All right, so where every Sweet 16 team starting 5 begin their college basketball playing careers, there are 2 teams, their entire starting 5. Most of them are like 2 or 3 of them started at that school, and like Duke's got 4, whatever. Arizona's got 4, Nebraska's got a couple. So the two Sweet 16 teams,
I can tell you one
who
for
entire starting 5 didn't start at the school.
Oh, Michigan State. I knew they all started at the school.
Yeah, Michigan State's one of them, and
that's the only one that started the school. These 2 have 0 that started at their school.
Oh, 0 at their school.
One I think is
Arkansas, probably. That seems very Calipari. No, I guess no, because Akup's a freshman. Freshman, yeah.
They got Missouri. Arkansas's got 3 guys.
Would it be Iowa with all the transfers?
No,
they have 1.
They got 1 guy.
They have 1
there.
Can we get a conference?
You were all paying a lot of attention to this game over the weekend.
St. John's?
Yes. He doesn't recruit.
That's right. It's all recruit.
And the other one is,
transfers.
like, if you consider the coach, it's like, yeah, okay, I see that too.
Arkansas?
No, again, they have 3.
Say it again.
My bad.
Tiger. Is it Tiger?
Is it a Tiger?
Texas.
That was going to be my guess.
Oregon State guy, Houston guy, Purdue guy, Xavier guy, and FAU guy.
Sorry, it was Jack was what I was looking for. It was Jackal.
Oh, yeah.
Purdue's close. They got 4. Arizona's got 4 that all started with him.
Houston's got 4, right?
Houston's got 4. The other guy was OU.
Yeah, Miles.
He only recruits guys from his current school and his old schools, basically.
That's right. Yep. It's going to be Indiana players. So be there too.
Yes.
Why not?
But yeah, Iowa have 1. Michigan just has 1.
Yeah, that is interesting that Iowa only has one. I thought they would have a few more. I mean, Nebraska's got an Iowa guy on their team.
They do.
Yeah. All right. What'd you learn from the weekend, Michael?
The Royals are one of the franchises, or I guess ballparks, that are doing the 999 challenge. So my question for you guys: what do we have to do a zone 999 challenge? At
Go
the
show up. Let's go.
Well, that's what the that's
go
what
to a
that-
game together and then
Yeah.
get Jason to start drinking.
That's what.
That's
yeah.
all we need.
What if we
That's
replace the
biggest-
beer with cherry Coke?
That's fine. I'll take that. Yeah.
You think you could do 9 cherry Cokes and 9 hot dogs?
No,
100%.
no, I couldn't.
What would be the hardest
I would-
part?
I would-
Hot dogs?
For me, it'd be the beer.
For me, it'd be the hot dogs.
Hot dogs.
Oh yeah. That's where the.
But I mean, over the course of almost 3 hours.
But
I
that's where the
think
clip,
you
the 7-Eleven Slurpee, that clip started with
Yes.
Pete Sweeney talking about the
999.
999 challenge, and they allowed somebody to exchange something with
He
something.
did 2 more beers and
Oh,
took
yeah.
away 2 hot dogs. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. But it's supposed to be you do that an inning. Like you don't just get out there in the first
What-
inning and have as many as you can.
What size of beer is it? It's not like the
12
big
ounce.
boy,
You
is
gotta
it?
be 12. I think
it's
12,
fine,
yeah.
12.
So yeah, like there's some people that are cheating that are like you get out there the first inning and have like 5 hot dogs, and then no, you've got to have 1 hot dog, 1 beer in the first.
Oh, it's got to be
1 hot dog,
within
1 beer in the
each.
second.
Oh, I didn't know. That's like the golf course
That's
one.
the actual. Yeah, that's
beer
the
hole.
actual
Okay.
999 challenges. That's why it's 9, 1. Second inning, you've got 1. Third inning, you got 1. You can't just scarf them all
and
down.
you want the visiting team to be leading at the end, so you
that's a
play
good
that
point.
bottom of
That's
the
a
ninth.
good point. That's a
Yeah,
great
so
point.
that'd be that ninth gets tough quick.
And like a high-scoring affair that the visiting team is winning late.
Worst case scenario, it's like a no hitter
It
going
was
on.
a lot easier
Yeah.
before that damn pitch clock came in.
Yeah. Just getting no more Garcia Parra out there, and he's just doing his gloves for 30 minutes. Yeah.
Doug Davis on the mound and no more hitting.
Yes.
I mean, it's like human rain delays. What's the funniest from the weekend for you, Sterling?
I think it was the on the TV that had simultaneous shots of Dan Hurley
Yes.
and Mick Cronin side by sides, and they were both yelling, quote, to bleep, get the bleep over there.
Yeah.
They were both pointing and saying the exact same thing.
It's like he finished his sentence. Hurley finished Cronin's sentence.
Yeah, and then the best part is they both got at one point bench warnings, and then Cronin and Hurley look over at each other and start laughing. Like they're like, we know we're a bunch of bleeps, and we're just gonna
Of course, those two red asses
We're
love
both
each other.
AHs. Oh, that's
Yeah,
funny.
look at us.
Hey,
Look
oh
at
my
us.
gosh.
Nobody else understands us.
We're just so passionate. We're not childish, just passionate.
What was the funniest for you from the weekend, Mick?
The funniest for me from the weekend, rest in peace, Chuck Norris. But again,
Yeah.
it generated so many
that's a lot of
great memes and sayings, including Chuck Norris gave the eulogy at his own funeral.
Wow.
And then it reminded me of one of the best ones from the past was Chuck Norris once vacationed in the Virgin Islands. They're now just called the Islands.
It's a great one.
That's phenomenal.
The funniest from the weekend for you, Michael?
My funniest was also Mick Cronin, but it's also because he said in the press conference leading up to the game that, quote, everybody needs to get a life, bro. And he went into the UConn game dressed in a full gray UCLA tracksuit, and someone tweeted it on Twitter. His palms are sweaty, knees weak, arms are heavy.
That's so great. My funniest from the weekend, I actually have 2. Let's play this clip here. We found out Darling from St. John's was nicknamed Bells, and this is why he's nicknamed Bells.
And they never broke. They just stayed with it. Dylan Darling's, he's got balls as big as church bells. I mean, it's unbelievable.
And that's why he is now nicknamed Bells, because he hit the 3 against Xavier to win, and Rick Pitino after the game said his balls are the size of church bells, and now he's nicknamed Bells.
It's a safe nickname. People,
why
it
he-
means the same thing, but everybody can say it.
He
My
works
other-
at certain places, like at noon, he has to stand up
Yes.
and kind of shake a little bit, and that's how you know it's noon.
My other funniest was from St. Louis, unfortunately losing, but Robbie Avila leaving, and all of the different nicknames that came in.
They're amazing. They don't stop.
Remember, it was Cream Abdul-Jabbar. Now it's Shane Gilgeous-Alexander, Marshmallow Anthony, Dominique Milkins, Shaquille Oatmeal, Alan Four Iverson, Kevin McPhail.
That was a good one. Who was already pale.
Yes. D. White Howard, Milk Chamberlain, Frames Worthy, Dork Nowitzki, Nikola Nerdich, Salu Alcindor, Steph Blurry, Spud White, and Larry Nerd.
Larry Blurred is
Larry
actually
Blurred
my
was-
favorite
yes.
one. It's so
Larry
good.
Blurred
Larry
was a good one, too. Those were my favorites from the weekend. Best, we start with you, Mick. Best from the weekend.
I thought, and I should have looked him up. I don't know if it's Koch who made it, the Iowa kid. That was the greatest inbounds pass I've seen since Grant Hill to Leitner back in '92.
So underrated and under
What
talked
a
about.
pass.
100%.
Took a
dude.
great. I mean, he's on the same page as Sturtz, but all of a sudden, you go from full court press to it's 3-on-2. You got numbers.
Yep.
There might have been 4-on-2 at that point, and like the kid who hit the shot, he could have hit the shot or passed it directly to the wide open guy under the basket, and they could have tied it. So that was executed perfectly, and I thought that was the greatest inbounds pass I've seen since Grant Hill Leitner.
It's crazy. It's like they're well coached or something. I'm not sure.
It's wild.
Trey White's like, hold on, how did you inbound that? So like,
you look like first graders.
It's like
youth
yeah.
game.
But that guy was guarded, and you inbounded it.
How though?
Wow, I don't even know. I'm going to go back to the drawing board. Best for you from the weekend, Michael.
The final World Baseball Classic numbers came out, and Kansas City led the country.
Not even close.
For the top ratings in the
Damn
market.
right. You're damn right. That's
like
who
2
they
or
won.
3 points.
They won the WBC. Damn it.
How many is a point?
I don't know. I'm really bad at this. Like
One.
Nick looks all the time at the numbers. I don't. Now I can tell you the difference between rating and a share, but I couldn't tell you what the point
Will
is.
you share
how
that
much.
with us? We know.
It's a lot of point. It's a lot
for people.
It's a big point.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a
but
big
it
point.
depends on the.
It's a big point.
It depends on if you're talking about rating or share, because in Kansas City, a smaller city, it would be different than in Chicago or whatever. It's basically of the TVs in your town, how many are watching the game.
My best from the weekend is look, we got Nebraska and Iowa that are playing in the Sweet 16.
I want to just. I have so many Nebraska friends. So many. I want to just drive down to Houston and just take it all in.
Do you want to?
It's crazy.
Yeah, with my friends I was talking about though.
Yeah. Yeah, and shout out the Nebraska fans, because those that I went to college with always said Nebraska basketball is called Creighton, and now they actually have Nebraska ball. Now they can actually root for Nebraska basketball. So good for them.
I see the tweet. The year is 2026. Indiana football wins a national title. Indiana basketball misses the tournament. Nebraska basketball is making the Sweet 16, and Nebraska football hasn't beat a top 25 team in like 10 years.
It's like, no, that's not possible. Best for, and Iowa, obviously, and Ben McCollum. Best for you from the weekend.
Had our first golf tournament of the year on
CU.
Guess what? Not first, not second. We got
Last.
third.
Yeah,
we got third, baby.
There were 4 teams in it.
Nice.
Whoa,
Top 3. There were 3. There were 3.
There were more.
There were 3.
Got third.
We got
so
third.
credit to us for doing good, but not too good.
Yeah, glad you finally got out of the house, man. It was nice that you were able to do that. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. More Zone next. All right, thank you, Mick. He's presented by Advent Health Sports Park at Blue Hawk. He's back from St. Louis. Sweet 16 is set.
Apparently, we got to chase down former Jayhawks today to talk to them about maybe their old coaches calling it quits. Yeah, I know.
Who's that?
Well, the assistants.
Oh.
Might not be back.
It's funny. One of my funniest would have been Tyrese Halliburton. Said he reached out to, because Iowa State guy said he's like, I reached out to all my Kentucky teammates. He's like, but apparently now they're all Arkansas fans, which they kind of are. They're like,
so came there for the coach, not the school.
They went there to play for Calipari, not Kentucky. That was funny. I was going to talk trash, but they're Arkansas fans apparently, so no idea. Thank you, Nick. We'll talk to you Wednesday. ZOUs.
ZOUs.
Royal
M-I-Z?
Oh,
maybe.
You?